to the eFed Podcast, the podcast exploring our fantasy wrestling hobby, where the wrestling is written, but the characters are real. Hey everybody, welcome back to the eFed Podcast. I'm your host, Mikey Unlikely, and today we're here for episode 90 of the show. Can't believe it. We've come a long way, and today we're talking to my co-host, my producer, the man of the hour, Brian's Too Sweet to Be Sour.
Oh.
What is happening?
What is going on? How are you, sir?
I am doing well. I am having myself a little Teddy Brewski here, along with you, apparently, and hopefully some of our listeners. And that is right. This is the first episode of the eFed Podcast live on Twitch, front to bottom, top to back, left to right. Number one. Well, hold on. We're not starting over.
Not falling for that trick again.
No, right? So episode 90, today we're interviewing Brian, and some of you are saying, wait, didn't we interview Brian before? And I'm not one of those people, so get off my back. No. We interviewed Brian.
I'm one of those people.
Just for a Defiance chat. We talked about the Fed. We talked about how to join and what it was all about. And you can catch that. It was one of our early episodes. Very, very early. But now we're here to talk about Brian, his journey as a handler, how he got in the game, and how he got suckered into doing stuff like this.
There's a real pattern I see here. Same with on your wall back there is another symbol to a former misstep.
I don't know what you're talking about. We may or may not have had a couple of missteps, but today there is no misstep. This is the eFed Podcast here on the scene, and we're talking about Brian, the handler. We're talking about the characters, K9. We're talking about Scott Douglas. We're talking about Vic Vacio. We're talking about probably some Kerry Kuriyama, because there was some action in there too. We're talking about Brett and Austin and the Atomic Dropcast. We're talking about Already in the Ring, and you know what that means.
What was the other one? The Lucha Libre, and you don't know what that means? Or something like that.
You don't know what that means. Hi, Paul.
Hi,
anyway,
Paul.
Enough of the Atomic references. If you want to listen to that, I don't know. We got to figure out a way to rep that.
Upload them to Patreon.
There we go. Check out the Patreon. Patreon.com/eFed Podcast, where you can support the show. But Brian, today we're here on Twitch. This is the intro for this week's episode. And we do have guests, so I want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat. I appreciate you. We're going to be answering questions in the chat. You guys are going to be able to do the question of the week.
Oh.
You're going to be able to do all kinds of stuff in there. And even ask Brian and I questions in real time during the interview, which is what I'm most excited about.
Slight delay, but yeah, sure, real time.
In real time within 30 seconds.
So if you're listening to this in the traditional way later on, iTunes or wherever, just know you missed out. You could have been here. You could have been on Twitch. You could have gave us your free Prime subscription.
That's right. And we're going to try to be here on Twitch with each of these episodes moving forward. And actually, Brian, I've got something in the works to where next week we're going to be talking to someone else on Twitch about their Fed. That's right. We're going to be chatting with Brock and Linz about Prime Wrestling. Oh. And Brian, we don't have it queued up, but we've got a great video for Prime. We'll be ready for that show.
100%. The OBS fiasco of 2 hours ago, I just cleared everything, and Prime and Defiance's commercials went with it.
Gandhi. So that's what we're going to be doing here next week. So make sure you tune in for that. We'll be talking to some other Fed heads about their Feds and giving them some promotion here on Twitch. The eFed Podcast is a totally free podcast that drops each and every single week for your e-wrestling ears on a multitude of apps. If you'd like to support the show, however, the best way to do so is over at patreon.com/eFed Podcast. For as little as $3 a month, you can support both Brian and myself as we crank out more e-wrestling content with perks such as early releases and special Discord designations. And if that's not enough EW action for you, jump up to the $10 a month tier and you can get a free EWT's t-shirt design, early and ad-free editions of the show, as well as access to our monthly Q&As, bad graps, and more. And if you'd like to be a sponsor on the show and get your ad played, the best way to do that is the sponsor level on Patreon, with all of the previous perks, plus weekly commercials on the show. Check it out over at patreon.com/eFed Podcast. We greatly appreciate your consideration.
Occupy Pro Wrestling, putting the smart back into Smart Mark since 2012 with a community on Discord and message boards, merchandise, a weekly vodcast on Twitch, and much more. Check out everything from us and our site partners at OccupyProWrestling.com.
eFed Tees, the #1 source for eFed merchandise, offering custom merchandise made for your wrestler, tag team, stable, or eFed. Whether you want a high-quality t-shirt, face mask, hoodie, hat, it doesn't matter. We can help you out over at efedtees.com. Do you have a custom logo for your wrestler?
For over a decade, Defiance Wrestling has redefined what an eFed can be.
We have
an angle fed with a rich history and a colorful cast of characters. Defiance Wrestling offers a drama-free environment with some of the most experienced and talented writers in the history of the game, with a level of consistency that few other promotions can offer. With on-time events, micro offerings, and even a long-form in-character radio show, as well as a forum home on the classic FWrestling.com, nobody, I said it, nobody does fantasy wrestling quite like Defiance. Come, see what all the buzz is about. Come check out DefianceWrestling.com. You heard me. It's DefianceWrestling.com. I'll see you there.
Let's jump into our question of the week, I guess.
Let's do it.
Of the last 2 months.
Oh, question of the last 2 months.
And maybe Brian, you and I can answer this. The eFed podcast question of the year. What's your favorite theme song for an e-wrestler that's not your own?
Oh, mine's easy.
I knew it would be.
Well, you know what? Now there's two. Now there's two, and it's a toss-up. Mikey Unlikely's Impious Pyre. And
it's a great group.
Well, I guess actually it's not a toss-up because technically I'm a part of the tag team, so the new one doesn't count. So yeah, so Mikey Unlikely's Savage Souls Impious Pyre.
There you go. Great theme song. My favorite theme song that's not my own. Ooh, that's a tough one. It's going to be a classic one. It's got to be. Let's see. What's Vito Valentino? I know it's the Eagles. Life in the Fast Lane by the Eagles. For Vito Valentino is a terrific theme song.
There you go. Classic. DashWrestling.com. Got to get them in. Got to get them in, folks. Cheap plugs.
Episode 90. I can't believe it. All right. So this week's question of the year, we just gave it to you. I gave you my answer. We gave you Brian's answer. I'm going to hit you with some of the answers on the Discord.
Oh.
Are we ready, Brian?
We are ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. On the tweeter.
Ooh. Even better.
From @HopeLissy says, he doesn't use it anymore, but I love the cinematic nature of Badman Adams using All Right by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
All right. I like some Kendrick.
Can't stand him.
@Xero ENT, former guest here on the eFed podcast. Calm Like a Bomb by Rage Against the Machine. It's fitting for Kano because he is ticking like a time bomb.
Tick, 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 tick.
At WWJBCD, Dr. Steele's Back and Forth. Doesn't say for who, just there's a song.
Hopefully less back and more forth.
At Yinzer Says What says Hailstorm, I like it heavy for @Sela_plays_nice. Queens of the Stone Age, Smooth Sailing for #Bomber. Flyleaf, Marinette for @Rebel_Jen Drew. And Bring Me the Horizon's Kingslayer for Anna Quinn Adams.
Got kings and queens in there.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more. The Art of Murder, Reign of Darkness for @A55_H01E. It says asshole, but that's not how you're going to find him.
If you just type asshole into a computer, you're going to get a completely different result.
Different result. Don't Google that.
I mean, unless that's your thing, then Google it.
Better Than You TD, Identity by Grandson for Corey Smith. Not only is it a great song, but it really fits Corey's character. Man, some people just gave us lists. Check out the Twitter. I'm not gonna hit them all with all those, but And I'll forever, this is at Harlequin Ambz, AMBZ. I'll forever associate You're the Best by Joe Esposito with Christian Cage and Christian Connolly, the leader of the Cageaholics, which is amazing because I automatically associate that same song with Beautiful Bobby Dean.
Oh, a little
crossover. As well as, of course, The Karate Kid.
Of course. Sweep the Leg.
Sweep the Leg. Another good song.
Yeah, sure.
So, Brian, on the Discord side of things, you want to give it a read? You got that?
Handy? Yeah. I got them pulled up. Starting off first up with the man who created the 2-hour rule that will probably break. It's not active enough for the top 100. It's Pete, and you should have already bought his book.
You should have.
Pete's answer is Mike Randall's Kashmir by Zeppelin. I'm assuming nice. the lead type. Was actually my introduction to Zeppelin in the first place.
Really?
Well, maybe I need Mikey Unlikely to get active again. Maybe that's how I actually pick up some fans. Up next on Discord, she's also in the chat. It's Meg 5BW, Legion of Monsters by Disturbed. That's Kieran Quinn's theme song.
Okay.
It fits Kieran to a T for a massive, huge baby face in 5BW. Another is Amy Harrison's Riot Rhythm by Sleigh Bells. Catchy tune.
Don't know that one at all.
No, it sounds like it might be both violent and Christmassy.
Well, hey, before I delete these, I'm going to check out some of these songs that I've never heard.
Welcome back to the TEFP mixtape. Up next is Dinner and No Callback. I recently switched to The Man by The Killers after a long run using Golden Age by Woodkid. Dinner, you probably didn't get a call back because I don't think you read the question.
I like it.
You answered like it's yours. It's
yeah.
It's not your
supposed to use yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Reading is fundamental, especially in this hobby.
You would think so.
So I've always done bad at it. And up next, speaking of people who do bad at things, he's fired. It's Cat Pasaddy.
Cat Pasaddy, we're going to hear his name about 100 times today.
Probably so. He'll probably be fired 100 times. So we needed somebody keep a rolling count.
There you go. Joe, you're fired.
Joe says, anyone who doesn't say Mr. Finish Line is a damn fool.
Love that song.
Well, Joe, I don't say Mr. Finish Line, so fuck you. You're fired. Up next, it's Ron Hall McDonald, Highlander 4-H. The ideal theme for any enhancement talent. Homer's Why Can't We Be Friends? It's at YouTube. We're not clicking that, Ron.
It's the Why Can't We Be Friends? Yeah.
But why? Classic. That's what I figured, but why is it got to be Homer? Like, it's just a cartoon with that.
It's Ron Hall. What do you expect?
Touche. Up next is Joe again, so we're skipping it. And then after that, shoot, Dan Steen says, Make Way for the King by Ohana Bam for Joshua Breedlove, or Put Him in a Grave by Jedi Mind Tricks for LT. Good song.
Yeah, it is. I'll hit the next one, Brian. MDG. It's our good friend Warren.
Drive Through RPG.
Says, for Elise, for Dr. Ned Reform's theme. Classical music rocks, and the one he uses, it literally does.
Very nice.
We got Rossi Orton up next. The Last Garrison by Enter Shikari, which is a theme song for Bantam Ryan Bats. It is a banger. I was introduced to this band at Ozfest many, many moons ago, and this song is really, really good.
Full moons or crescents? Blood? What kind of moons are we talking?
All kinds of moons. Brian, who we got up next?
Up next, All Goats Wear 23 Lease Aries. I'm guessing that's Billy.
That's Billy.
I don't know what he's doing out there in the field, but that's an odd screen name. Anyway, he says tramped underfoot by Led Zeppelin for Lindsay Troy. Bring it back, Mom.
She's getting all the shouts tonight.
That's double up. Following right behind him is Seth is Burns. Shout out to Seth. He says Airship Pirate by Abney Park for Henry Keys.
Okay.
Or Money covered by Of Mice and Men for the Lucky Sevens.
Beautiful. Both those make sense. They fit the character. And although I don't know the Abney Park song, he is an airship pirate.
Indeed. I mean, that's the thing. I think when it comes to written E-Feds, the song don't matter. Just get a title. Just get a title that works.
You guys know a good E-Fed with a written application?
Up next, Jake here. What a great question. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith for the delightful Jonathan Christopher Hall and his ALP Vicky. Or his ALP
Brian,
Vicky?
You want to give us a few bars?
A few bars?
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Of that song. Come on, Brian. I don't want to miss a thing.
I'm sticking to we'll get kicked off Twitch for that.
All right.
And speaking of never missing a thing, last but not least.
And speaking of getting kicked off Twitch.
It's Bobo. There was a time that Mike Best used You're the Best by Joe Esposito. I don't think there is a better entrance theme than that.
Because it's his. We probably use it in a match against him. Imagine that. Bobby, you bastard. Bobby snuck it in there at the end. Let's see. Did we get anything in the chat in the meantime? We did get Dave and Meg with little subscribe buttons.
Oh, thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you. Now they're bribing us to have them on Twitch for their Fed. We'll put that on the sketch.
It's the best way to do it.
You're 100% right. So get ready for that 5BW action after this Prime action. Joe's fired twice so far. How about Dogs of War by Savage Souls for the Cerebrus instant class? Cerebus.
Well, the problem with that is that's the one I was going to say it didn't, because the question is for a character you don't handle. And now it's Rick saying it. So again, it's for a character you don't handle. But Rick,
second,
always bring Savage Souls up any chance you can. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Alex Smiley subscribed to Tier 1. Appreciate you, Alex. 4 months.
Shout out to Alex.
And he just re-upped over on Patreon. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
We started slipping those ads right back into the episodes here recently. So, speaking of which, Brian, I don't know if you saw it, but Alex, they designed a Wrestling Explains It All t-shirt. Sent it to Clarissa. You remember Clarissa from the
Melissa Joan Hart.
Yes. Sent it to her. She wore it, posted it on Instagram, and tagged Power to the Smarks. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to Alex. That was a really, really cool tweet out there.
Well, moving forward, if we're trying to do full episodes on here, we'll actually start running the ad roll on here. And
yeah.
I'll have to have some kind of visual to go with it. So send me that picture.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, really cool. I think it's on Instagram, but we'll get it and we'll get it here on the Twitch if that's cool with Alex.
100%.
Well, that's what we got in the chat as well. So there you have it, guys. If you got any other theme songs you want to give a shout out to in the chat, go ahead. We'll hit them here up on the show. And otherwise, that's what we got for this week's Question of the Week.
Question of the Week.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mikey Unlikely. We're back for another edition of the interview series. Today, we're joined by Brian. Brian is the co-host, producer of the EFED podcast, the Atomic Dropcast. He is the handler behind characters such as K9, Scott Douglas, Vic Vassio, and more. He's handled in feds like the CSWA, the DefianceWrestling.com. Brian, hit me with some more. I don't have it in front of me.
I've been told SCW, of course, Warren's MWC, and all the different alphabet soup that came out of that later. HEW, CWO.
Brian's been around the game for a long time and most recently been on the staff and Fed head, well, partial part of the Fed head conglomerate of DefianceWrestling.com.
Indeed.
So, Brian, I'm excited to get you on here. Obviously, you and I have been friends for some time. We've had a couple podcasts together. We've had a lot of fun together. And today we're talking about you. And actually, you were the man who interviewed me for my show. And so I'm excited to now finally get back to you and talk about you.
Now to inflict that same pain on me.
Yes, to make it just as awkward for you. So let's start with you. When and how did you become a wrestling fan?
I was young. Like I didn't have any particular like affinity for it or anything. I probably just saw bright colors or something.
They were very bright outfits back then.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was. If it was, I'm pretty sure it was WCW. Pretty sure it was on a Saturday. I just remember being young, flipping through the TV and like sitting on the floor watching this, and then my uncle, it had to be the weekend because like my family was around. My uncle came through the living room, and just to be a dickhead, he was like, I found out later he's a huge fan, but just to be a dickhead, he's like, you know it's fake, right? And just left the room.
Oh, right off the bat.
And I was probably going to turn the channel until he said that. And I'm like,
you know what? I'm going to watch it anyway.
Well, no, I'm like, how? Like, what do you mean? So I sat there and watched the rest of it, trying to figure it out. And yeah, that's it. Like, just kept watching from there. And then probably fell out of it a little bit. But, of course, being, early high school age during the Attitude Era, like, obviously I was glued.
So right away, we already seen a picture of you on the Atomic Dropcast Twitter of way back in the day. You're rocking that that awesome haircut, and you're hanging out with the Giant backstage at a WCW show.
Yeah,
talk about that.
That was, I believe, like WCW NWO Sold Out or something like that. Like the only pay-per-view I know to have ever come to Charleston, because it's Charleston's Coliseum is not huge. I'm not sure the seats, but it's not really big. But my stepdad or whatever, he knew somebody at the radio station and got us back there. We were actually supposed to meet the Giant, Glacier.
Oh, there you go.
We really missed out on that one.
Watch out for that super kick.
Benoit and Harlem Heat. But the Giant was the only one that showed up.
Go figure.
And we didn't pay for it. Like, we just got it free with the ticket, the hookup or whatever. And but we got all the glossies, not signed, but his was signed. And then on the way out, they're kind of ushering us back out this side entrance, and we got to go back around to our seats or whatever, back to the front entrance. And we did get to see Harlem Heat from like 5-6 foot. Oddly, and maybe that's why they didn't come to the thing. The Giant was not in his gear, sweatpants, tank top or something, I think. Harlem Heat, when we went out to the hallway, they were like full gear, like back when they had the little neck things that came down on the tights or whatever.
So elsewhere in the arena, some kid was like, "Man, only Glacier showed up."
I'd have been pissed.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they had it cordoned off to where they just split the kids up to get it done.
To be honest, I never checked the timelines, but Glacier might not even have been there anymore by that point.
we cut him. He's advertised. Screw it.
No one's gonna care.
All right. So you said you're, preteen / teenager in the Attitude Era. You're glued to the TV. What are you watching? Are you watching WCW? Are you watching WWF?
Both, yeah. I mean, I'll always, trying to time the commercials and flip back and forth. And,
yeah.
And eventually, because I think Nitro went longer first, I just started recording Nitro to a tape. Still flipping back a little bit, but leaning more toward Raw to watch the shorter show, tape Nitro. And at the time, too, his name will come up a lot later, but a friend of mine, Barry, like right after 8th grade, so this is like 98, I think, or something, 97. He moved up to New Jersey. So he had just on TV access to ECW. So he started taping two or three ECW TVs at a time and sending me, like mailing me the tape, and I'd dub it and mail the tape back. And so yeah, but really just all three. Anything I could get my hands on at that time. And plus, I think we've talked about this before. I don't know about elsewhere, but man, the video store. Like going in, because I never.
That was it. That was it.
Like early 90s, I never got to see any of those pay-per-views. Like, so I saw them all on VHS, and like the Iron Man, Wrestle, whatever, the SummerSlam, whatever. I heard Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels Iron Man match. Like, used to watch that shit.
WrestleMania 12. Yep.
Yeah, I used to watch that shit on repeat, and I go back to watch it now. I'm like, this match is kind of boring.
I will challenge you and say that is the match that got me into pro wrestling. But It's just the storytelling. And at the time, I was brand new. I didn't know what I was watching, and it was so good between the two of them that I was glued. Like you said, glued.
Oh yeah, at the time I loved it. I remember my stepfather had a first time I'd ever seen one. It had like this ratcheting. Like you had the rewind and fast forward, but you could also
you could slow mo.
Yeah, and I watched every piece of that match over and over again at multiple or variable speeds.
Yeah. I was the same way. I got into wrestling in the late 90s and then was at the Blockbuster or the Video Safari or whatever was around. And I was hitting up all of those 91, the early 90s, the late 80s, all of that stuff.
All that Coliseum video.
All that stuff I'm emulating now over in. All right. So you're into the Attitude Era. You're into watching ECW, WCW, WWF. Who are your favorite wrestlers?
Oh, I mean, obviously the GOAT is
Bret Hart.
No. All right, I'm sorry. We're going to have to end this interview.
Goodbye.
I need you to hold some papers in your hand, and I'll reach out and swat it, and you throw them like I Vince McMahon's you. No, yeah, big Shawn Michaels fan, and honestly, I didn't hate Bret back then. Can't stand him now. But yeah, Bret, Diesel. I mean, who didn't like Razor Ramon? Tatanka. I was a big Tatanka fan.
There you go.
Which we got to meet him briefly at
we did. Yes.
Wrestle Legends.
Wrestle Legends. We got to meet a gang of people, including Sergeant Slaughter, Tatanka, Road Warrior Animal right before he passed, all kinds of
Jimmy
legends. Jimmy Hart,
One Man Gang.
Jimmy Hart literally talked about us. Like that was legit.
That's
never going to happen again.
He never said it right once, but he talked about it.
He never got it right. But check out the Atomic Drop podcast over there. They're talking about Raw and SmackDown every week. Anyway, but yeah, really cool. So we'll get there, as they say.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's Tatanka. I think early on for like WWF wise, I like Macho Man, but way back, obviously, like being young watching WCW, there was a time period I don't think I knew about WWF.
Okay.
But I mean, who didn't like as a kid? Like who didn't like Surfer Sting, Jake the Snake, Flying Brian Pillman? But oddly enough, I guess I kind of bad. I don't remember, or maybe it was before. I don't know. I don't keep up. I don't remember the pay-per-views, like the numbers. I know the name, but I don't remember the years, any of that kind of shit. So, but yeah,
I got you on that.
But yeah, that's I was trying to think of them the other day, like who did I have an affinity for, especially like weird ones, and not that it was weird, but like just a guy who never really achieved much. I guess Tatanka would be.
Hey, Tatanka had a hell of an undefeated streak, Brian.
Indeed. And then there's that Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka at that WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, yeah.
The Roman one.
WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, easily best match on the card. even though it ends in a fucking count out.
Disqualification, yeah. No, it's good stuff, and you could tell that they're both running the whole match, so it's really good. Well, let's talk about after that. Do you still watch wrestling now? Did you watch it through the thousands? When does this, watching everything I can get my hands on, when does this slow down? And in between, who are you like?
Oh, it was a pivotal moment. And you'll know the number. I don't know it. It's when Shawn dropped the title to Austin.
It's WrestleMania 14.
There you go. I was done. I was out. Probably a few weeks after that, but once I got the news, he wasn't coming back. I was done.
Brian wasn't coming back either.
Yep. Well, and WCW had already changed their logo. That's how, like, anytime I see that kind of, the weird swishy WCW logo that they went to, like to me, WCW was over at that point. Like there was nothing there. You had fucking 17 something WOs, like
LWO, NWO, the red and black. Yeah.
When I go back now and see clips of like the new breed stuff and all that, I'm like, yeah, I fucking dodged a bullet getting out when I
when you did.
I missed some okay stuff on Vince's TV, but I didn't miss shit from Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get there with the Atomic Dropcast. We're gonna watch it sometime. Brian, first question from the crowd. Meg wants to know, Brian, I must ask, did Foley put your butt in the seats?
Oh yeah. I turned the channel like everybody else did.
Brian, you were not there. You were there for Mankind, but you were not there for the McFoley.
Yeah. Because I mean, they did the interview in 97, 98, the swollen testicles.
I just mean you didn't see you didn't see Cactus Jack. You didn't see all that stuff with Triple H and like the wars.
No, I've seen it, but yeah, I didn't see it in its time. But what she's talking about with I assume when Shivani tried to air out the taped Raw from him winning the title or whatever.
You weren't aware for that. That was well after Austin and Sean.
I might have popped back in.
Oh, see, Brian, Lion Brian on the podcast.
I'd say I'm bad with the times and days. Here's where I know it definitely, like, by the time I was a senior in high school, I didn't have time for it. Like, between working and just trying to not be at home. And if nothing else, officially 2001, the middle of 2001, I was 17 on my own. I couldn't afford cable.
I haven't had cable in like 12 years, so I get that. It's all streaming now.
I've gotten rid of it now, but there was a time, like in my 20s, I'm like, fuck yeah, I can afford cable now. All right, I'm doing something out here.
Making a difference. All right. So we get that. When do you find e-wrestling, and how do you find e-wrestling?
So 8th grade. Again, I don't know what year that is. Barry Asian. I meet Barry. I kind of turned him on to rap music, some of the rap music I listened to, and also wrestling. We kind of really hit it off and just like always talking about that shit. And then one day he just, I don't know, I guess because wrestling was brand new to him. And I don't know, one day he just popped up and he's like, hey, I found this thing. You should check it out on the internet. And this was at a time period when someone said that to you and you weren't like, but what is it? You're like, yeah, all right, let me see it. And it was
Napster.
It was fantasywrestling.com.
Yeah, the future F wrestling.
Yes, yep. And that was the beginning. It was it because back then, there was no F wrestling. That just took you directly to the CSWA. And that was the impetus of the whole thing.
So you get to fantasy wrestling, and at the time, what's it like? What do you see when you get there?
What the CSWA was versus everything else, stark difference. I mean, they for the time, they had a nice site. They had a great board. Yeah, I don't remember too much about it. Like I've even gone back not too long ago and looked at some of them on like the Wayback Machine. I still don't remember too much about it. They've always had a good site for whatever era it was, and if it had been updated, if they weren't on a a long-term hiatus again, they always had a nice site. That being the first thing I ever saw. Finding some of this other stuff later, your guest book feds,
your GeoCities, your Angel Fires, your tripods.
Exactly. Seeing some, and then I was like, oh, maybe
I was right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should just not mess with it. But it was obvious, quick. Like, all right, so all these aren't equal. But I mean, there was so much more variance and all kinds of different shit going on in these smaller ones.
Yeah, so you check out CSWA. Do you join that one right away? And if so, are you creating your own character right off the bat?
Yes, which is funny because I know this comes up a lot. Like because of AOL and because like wrestling chat rooms, I definitely saw like I never looked into it enough to know what it was.
It wasn't the first eFed you ever put your eyes on.
Well, it was the first one I put my eyes on, but I saw people spamming them in wrestling chats, but I never stayed in those chats too long because it's like, what are we doing here? Like, just
once you found the guy you wanted to DM with, that was it.
But yeah, I never spent much time in the chat rooms anyway. But I had seen them. But I joined CSWA off the top. So did Barry. I didn't have the internet at home, so I had to ride my bike to his house. And like a neighborhood.
I know that struggle is real. Yeah, I used to go to the library to role play. I get it.
Post his house. That's where we ended up going constantly.
Yeah.
So he joined. I don't know how many times he joined before he got in. I know I joined 5-6 times. Never got in.
Damn.
He finally gets in with a character named the Crack Baby. DA apostrophe Crack Baby.
We need a t-shirt at eFed tees, the Crack Baby.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you got in with the Crack Baby? Like,
That's the one they accept.
Yeah. And my memory is terrible, and I think this is right. I don't know, but I want to say at some point I heard through someone, maybe through him once he got in or something that he asked, and like he was told like all my characters I had submitted were like just I guess all my characters were like too derivative of real wrestlers or whatever. Which at the time I remember looking at their rosters like, man, get the fuck out of here. like everybody's stealing.
Everybody's right.
He gets in his, and he'll come back a little bit later, but he gets in as the crack baby. And that came from, we just used to have this joke about the NWO. And it was like the crackhead world order. And we used to come up with these stupid names. Like instead of Big Papa Pump, it's, Big Papa Hypodermic Needle.
Yeah, really good.
and that's the only one I remember, but it was like a bunch of dumb shit like that with all these just different like drug, and they weren't even all crack. It was like drug related pun names or whatever. But
Buff is on the stuff. Am I right?
He's still on that stuff.
Something.
So I think that's where he came up with that. But yeah, he gets in with that. I didn't make it CSWA till a long time later. But and again, I don't know this. So I went to the GeoCity stuff. I mean, I was in a fucking fed called like Newfoundland Wrestling League or some shit.
Oh, you were up there with Ridiculous. I think he ran that one.
Hey, this is one thing I remember. It was ran by a dude who ran a character named Cool Modi, and he was very specific, like all original characters, and it pissed me off to no end. I'm like, but that's
not original.
Yeah, that's a rapper's name, like from the 80s. Like you're stealing it.
From the crowd, Brian, did you ever play as Shawn Michaels in an E-Fed, and why is the answer yes?
No, I mean, it honestly, if I did, it was something like I signed up for it. Like found one of those and it was open, signed up for it and instantly forgot and just moved on.
Knew that was you.
If I did it at all, I can't say I ever had any prolonged real character. Like I never liked that real character thing. I mean, let's be honest, Sean's not the best promo. What do you?
Well, all your characters were derivative. You could have just used those same characters and just used the real names.
It's funny, and I've never stolen. I've never done a character like him for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, that is kind of not your favorite wrestler ever, but
yeah, I always just stole from Raven. Raven Taz, Shane Douglas.
Every other 13-year-old in our age group.
Back to CSW, Barry loses this match to Hornet because I guess Barry didn't know then.
Hornet always wins.
Always wins. And it was I don't know what would have happened if Hornet had lost. They probably didn't even pick anything because he's not going to. But if the Crack Baby lost, he had to change his name, and Hornet got to pick it. So Hornet renames him Nemesis. Who knows what else happens? But I say this. So Barry ends up in Warren's MWC. He's an in-story commissioner, and Barry's like, "Hey, come over here, and let's do shit here." I think we had just left like some Texas-based thing, like the CSWF, and we ran
totally original.
When we ran this, I used to like to tell myself we had to have done it before Kane and Undertaker, but through the Atomic Dropcast and rewatching that shit, I'm like, there's no way they did this shit a year prior. we did it. We did a whole like long lost brother fucking gimmick, and it got over really well in CSWF. So we went to MWC, and what did we do?
We ran the same
thing.
Hey, that's what wrestling is, right? You'd go to the territories, you run the angle over and over, make money.
But we hot shotted the shit out of it. And then another friend of ours, like that's the thing too. I don't know how many people have this, especially it's just large numbers, but like it was. So myself, Barry Ashton, Joey Gray. Joey handled like big time Michael Geddes, some other people. Derek Allen at one point in IWF. Gerald Logan, who ran HEW. And Ted Givler. Might be one other, but like those are the main one. Oh, Ryan Capone. So it's like 5 or 6 of us, like all living in a relatively close area. 4 of us in the same neighborhood. It's like we like hung out daily. This shit is like all we did was talk about this dumb shit. But it's like I think everyone but Gerald pretty much went over to MWC. We started a stable, Manifest Destiny, because that's what they were teaching me in school at the time. And I was like, that shit sounds cool.
That's a pretty cool name, yeah.
I was like, I mean, hell, if it worked as an excuse to wipe out the indigenous peoples, like It'll work perfectly for my NWO ripoff.
I don't know if we can say that on Twitch.
That's what it was. No, so we do Manifest Destiny. It's super NWO. I think we've talked about this before. Warren was great. He said it on his episode. We just ran Ruckshot, and a lot of people got mad because he led us. But one thing he said on his episode, he's like, we just sent stuff in. Like, we sent a gang of stuff in. We were 13, 14-year-olds. Like, we had all the fucking time in the world. Like,
Paul agrees with you. He says it's a solid, stable name.
Very. So, so we do that shit. MWC was great. I ran K9 there. And I don't know how much information, like how much detail go into any of this shit.
Well, let's talk about K9. You create this character. When does he debut, and what is K9? What is the background? What is the character, and how bad was it?
In the beginning, very bad. very, very. I mean, it was basically Taz with Raven's gimmick.
Okay.
Fuck was every other word. Kind of still is when I'm speaking. But now I can't.
You tone it down for e-wrestling, really.
Yeah. So CSWA is the only time I was like trying to get in. I threw a bunch of applications, see what would stick to the wall. I have no idea what any of those characters were, and one of them definitely at some point was K9. He's the first one I got in somewhere with and ran with, and I really didn't have another one for years. I mean, I had like I had Hakushi ripoff in HEW briefly, named Shaolin, but
named Hakushi does it better.
At the time, I didn't know he did it better. Now I know.
Now we know.
Now we all know.
So you're running K9, and just to clear up some rumors, K9 is not, in fact, a dog.
No, just a man in a dog suit.
Okay, so Chris Ross is going to be very upset to hear this. K9 is not, in fact, a police officer.
Nope.
Okay, not a police officer. Not a police officer, nor a actual K9 dog. So
no, just a fucking super cool 90s name.
All right, cool. I just wanted to clear it up before we move forward, and just wanted to set the record straight.
Yeah, so K9, and then later Barry handles like a Diesel analog named Lone Wolf. We do the brother thing. We had to pick a hometown, so of course, Shawn Michaels marks. Of course, we picked San Antonio. Later, they're a tag team. I think in MWC as well, they're a tag team. San Antonio's best. It was a very outsiders thing. We're straight just ripping them off. It was all about just being as cool as possible, and I've gone back and read it. And none of it's cool.
I mean, you were both dogs. It is too sweet, me, bro. All right. So K9, you jump into CSWA. Finally, you get accepted.
Yeah, I think just through it, like being known. Well, I mean, being not well liked, but being known in MWC. I think that gets.
And when do you start really getting successful there?
Where?
CSWA.
2012. Yeah, I never did shit. Like I was trying to think about like what did I do. So I came in and it was a thing because Nemesis was there, obviously. So come in, we do some literally half-assed same thing we did in MWC, except now it's a different character. So it's not brothers; they're half brothers. He was aligned with the Unholy, which was like a demonic-esque faction. We're in that.
We all go through that phase.
Nothing like. Well, I mean, that's the thing. My character wasn't even really in wasn't like gothic like that. But yeah, we were in that. There was some big angle. We got kicked out. Later, there was some with Frat 2000 that was a big schmoz. Or I don't remember that run. That run, I didn't do shit, and eventually, I had to write this down to remember it. I think I sent it to you last night. Where is it at? All right, so eventually, I get kicked out of the CSWA.
For what?
Just 15-year-old, just wilding, losing my shit, just raging. So I got kicked out because I lost to Steve Ratter. I mean, me and Pete have talked about this not too long ago. Oh yeah, in the chat, Paul says, "Oh God, EZ." Exactly. EZ, Eric Ziba. He handled Apocalypse, who was like the big bad of the Unholy. So anyway, yeah. So I lose to Steve Ratter, and obviously, so all this time, this is all role play stuff. MWC, everywhere I've been, everything. Oh yeah, and good guy Kevin Powers. Paul says, "Hi, Paul." Paul has gone from we shouldn't check our notes so often to now he is the notes.
Yes, you should check it. You should check the chat, Brian.
Roleplay fed K9 versus Iceman Steve Ratter. I think Ratter doesn't role play. I mean, I sucked, but I showed up. Card comes out, and all of a sudden, boom! It's a loser leaves town match, or loser leaves CS, however they worded it. Like whoever loses, you're out of here. And that was news to me. Like that was never a thing. There was no angle. All of a sudden, that's just the header on the deal. And then I lose. I lose to the no show. So my so my 15-year-old perspective is like, fuck this. Burn everything down. Like wild out. And I did. And then, but my perspective, to be very clear, my perspective today is, who cares? Like what the?
Yeah.
But beyond that, later talking with P, I think he's one telling me this. I guess Ratter's character hadn't been handled by anyone for a long time. It's just like a kind of a floating character, and I guess I should have known, reading that, like to take that loss to that character, that there was something else in the works. I don't know, but I did not take it that way.
No, 15-year-old, you didn't take it that way.
Nope. I was a shithead kid raised on rage and rap music. So
Brian screwed Brian, the Charleston screw job. Thanks, Paul.
But yes, that was the end of CSWA. Man, MWC for me fizzled out because I think Warren talks about it on his episode, but it changed hands after him a few times, and it changed names. Like I think GXW, GWE, maybe more. I think there was like a Nth something wrestling. I don't know. And some of them merged for a new thing. I don't know. They were looking for any reason. I wasn't liked, and I didn't give any reason to be liked, and got booted out of there too, or just like got jobbed out till I left or something.
Well, I don't blame you for that. And once that situation happens to you, you kind of get a bad feeling about a place, and it is what it is, right?
Well, I mean, it is what it is now. At 15, it's like, man, fuck you guys.
I'm going somewhere else where I'm appreciated.
Taking my talents elsewhere.
Yeah.
What
You're going to
talents?
regret this day. You'll see. When I'm world champion of GXW.
Yes, I mean, other than that, man, like I said, there is it's talked about on Paul's episode. It's talked about on Creepy Justin's episode. There's this whole SCW thing, Superior Championship Wrestling.
You don't remember.
I don't remember it at all.
Everyone tells you were there, but you don't remember writing a GD thing about it.
Not a word. And Paul showed me I'm in the Hall of Fame, or Kane. the characters in their Hall of Fame. I remember the Fed. I remember that it exists. I don't remember ever being there. But that's what like those library days. Like going to the library. And in the summertime, walking to the library every damn day.
Yep.
To type how I'm gonna beat you in a wrestle fight fucking on Sunday. It's so silly to me now.
Don't bother me, Nance. I'm writing my role play.
Some poor broke college student just needed to use the computer to write their essay, and I'm over here like, bigger fish to fry.
I'm going to throw you over my head with a suplex.
Randy Harder just said something really nasty to me. I'm going to need you to wait.
Hold on. K9's got some business to finish.
Yeah, no, so SCW's in there. I don't remember shit. Like I said, Gerald Logan handled, or not handled, he ran the kind of little cult fan following that is HEW, Hardcore Extreme Wrestling. What's more 90s than that?
Hey, I think I was in about 14 of those fights.
Hey, this one had enough of a following that we actually tried to do a one night only kind of reboot thing that didn't work out. But me and Paul got together. I built a site and all this cool stuff. But anyhow, yeah, I handled there like off and on, just like literally whenever Gerald would need me, I think, or I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go do something, and then I'd start and then just leave. So yeah, then I was done. Yeah. Like that's probably like the end of high school. I was out. I wasn't really watching wrestling anymore. I didn't have the internet. Couldn't afford cable. I didn't have the internet. I had a job, so I wasn't like going to the library. I was just trying to figure out how to pay rent. Yes, I was done for probably. Yeah. I don't know, man. Probably. I tried to look these dates up last night and I couldn't figure it out. I was done 8-9 years, something like that.
So you missed 8 and 9 years. What year are we talking about? Like time frame?
Pretty much from 2001 ish. So yeah, probably like 2000. 9 or 10.
2010, yeah. So you missed all of my
I missed fucking Kid Wicked.
Kid Wicked and Josh Generation and all the good stuff.
So it's one of my great regrets in life.
I imagine it would be. So you come back. What lures you back to e-wrestling after such a long hiatus?
Well, with cable internet, and then as aforementioned, I finally could afford cable, so I had the internet.
I wonder what first thing you're going to search. Well, second thing.
Yeah, definitely the second. And then I was like, you know what? What's going on with fantasywrestling.com? I go there and it's F Wrestling. F Wrestling, and it's F. Well, it might still be fantasy, but it didn't take you directly to CSWA anymore. Like, it was already FW Central, the original site. And I see these different feds and stuff, and I'm like, man, it seems kind of cool. And I don't know. Like, once again, memory's fuzzy. I know I joined. I don't think then, but at some point, I know I joined EPW, Empire Pro, I think.
Empire Pro Wrestling, formerly run by Brunk, former guest on the show.
So I believe I think it's the one. I know I joined it, and this is how bad it was, man. Like a year later, I get back on, and I'm like, same thing. Like, I'm like, I wonder what's going on in fantasy wrestling. I go to the site. FW Central's still there. I'm like, oh, EPW, that looks cool. I click on it. I'm looking around. I'm like, that's my character's name. Like, hold on. Did they just steal my shit? And then I get to look, and it's like, no, I role played. Okay,
I remember writing that.
For one show, I role played, and then just straight up no showed. Just I don't know what happened. Yeah, so obviously never went back there.
Sorry, Brooke.
I've apologized to him in private a few times in the past few years. But and then I would just here and there just check in with FW and FW.com, FWrestling.com, and Ultra Title popped up at some point.
.com.
Yeah, Ultra Title popped up. I joined Ultra Title. Got drummed at.
That's a big tournament.
Yeah. Open. Anyone can join. Big role play tournament. I got drummed out in the second round. Fun fact: if I'd have gone on to the third round, though, I would have faced High Flyer, handled by Tom Ford, who I would later have many dealings with.
Yes.
So then I'm. Well, you know what? Hold on. I think. Yeah, Ultra Title, and then. I don't know. Ultra Title, and at some point, CSWA comes back, and they do the Gold Rush, and it's this big 3-ring deal. That's the only success I ever had in CSWA. K9. At that point, because there was a brief Kevin 9 period, but at that point, it was Kevin Watson, and sometimes K9 Kevin Watson. And I think the deal was like, so all 3 titles were up, and whoever was the Somebody asked Pete what the rules were. He'll tell you.
The Pete rule is to ask Pete the rules.
So Kevin Watson wins the Greensboro title, and then they kept going after Gold Rush was supposed to be like the big reboot. They kept going for a little while, and then just didn't. So I'm claiming Kevin Watson to be the last. And because they've never announced a closure, longest reigning current Greensboro champion.
And reigning. Yes. Just a quick note, Brian, in the chat, we're going to need according to Paul, I Missed Kid Wicked t-shirt, now available at EWTs.com.
Oh, that's got to happen.
We're going to need I don't know what happened -Brian t-shirt available. And of course, from Rick Diculous, the Brian's face on the SpongeBob meme. I'm a head out. For your brief hiatus.
Yeah, man. The Fedhead one was alright, but like, it's so fucking hard to talk about this silly shit.
Yeah, it is. It is, especially stuff from like years and years and decades ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, you went from a 15-year-old writer to a 24-year-old writer during that break, to the point where I would assume you were much better a second go, not only as a writer, but as a handler.
I would like to think so. I definitely wasn't. Never. I don't think I was ever a problem again.
Well, so then you peaked because you're certainly a problem now.
Well, and also it's kind of like, they say if you're a badass kid, if you have kids, that your kids are gonna give you hell, and it's like karma. So I got my karma. So my next step after CSWA was done or on hiatus, I was like, all right. It was kind of like, that's the only park I want to play in. I'm not really interested in like going out and trying to start from scratch anywhere else again. So when they went on hiatus, so did I. And anyone, Paul says tradition. It is tradition for CSWA just to be flat. Tradition in the last 15, 20 years, not originally, obviously, but no, it was like I always kind of, and I guess everyone has this, like cats with like, I guess Prime, well, I mean Prime's back, but like originally with Prime on the PTC network, FWO.
Yep, that's correct.
I think everyone kind of has that one fed it's their big time for them. And for me, that was 100% CSWA. So once I got there and then got back there and then actually achieved something there, I was like, I don't want to play anywhere else. Yes, I was done. I was out again, but I had regular internet. I check in here and there. But what really did me in was Creepy Justin.
Shout out to Creepy Justin / Stalker / Reaper /
Jason Reeves.
Jason / former guest on the show. Yes.
Great episode. Everyone, go listen to that episode.
Creepy Justin, he dragged your ass back in, huh?
Yeah, he it's funny too because AIM was on its way out. I already deleted it. I don't even have AIM anymore.
Your away message was on.
Well, no, unfortunately, I guess I had connected it to my text message, like to my phone.
So you got that.
So the app is gone, but I guess he's just on the computer, like messaging me on AIM daily, and it's popping up on my phone. Like I'm at work, I'm like drunk, eating dinner, I get ready to go to bed, and like bing, and he's just he's relentless. I keep like, yeah, I don't know, man, I think I'm done, and like trying to give every excuse in the world, and he's like, man, just do it. But Paul said, motherfucker's probably still logged into AIM right now.
No doubt about that.
He's got a partition on his computer. He's still running Windows 93, so it'll work.
If you would like to reach me now, you can reach me on Skype and then you go to his Skype and it links to his Discord.
His Discord takes you to fucking IRC.
Takes you to his Bitcoin account.
Just moving backwards. Right. No, he badgered me into it, and it was wait, no, I'm fucking this up. That's later. That's Defiance.
That's way later.
Yes, no, I see this cool little fed. It's a regional promotion. It's in Seattle. It's the IWF. I don't remember what the I stood for. Later was Immortal. Anyway, I was like, yeah, it's a cool little fed. I'll join it, but I don't want to do the K9 thing anymore. And years ago, like way back, a character I just made and like probably had him pop up one place and like for one show and then never used him was Primetime Scott Douglas.
Primetime Scott Douglas.
Which all the way top to bottom, front to back was 100% just the franchise, Shane Douglas.
Coming down the aisle.
Tassels on the boots, all that shit. But I never really used them. I'm sure I ran them somewhere really briefly, but I never really used them. And then when I saw IWF, I was like, all right, well, I don't want to come up with a new name. I'll just use the name and then just rebuild the character. I was like, I'm doing babyface. I'm a babyface the shit out of it. I'm gonna make him the hometown guy. And that's how Sub Pop Scott Douglas started with IWF.
I don't know if my fellow Twitch viewers can see it, but we see like their dog's tail come by like a shark tail. Da-da, da-da,
it's gotta be Cade.
It's Cade.
Yeah. So I joined IWF. I like Justin's running at the time. I find out later. I guess it's a fed that Strasma had ran years prior. Doing the Scott Douglas thing. I read this crazy, weird, stupid story that reflecting on it the other night was like, I was like, I didn't want to write wrestling. Apparently, I fucking wanted to write soap operas or something. My buddy Joey, He had joined as well. He was Derek Allen, and we had this whole like thing with Scott and the girlfriend, and Allen is the brother of the girlfriend. Big long fucking story that nobody gives one shit about. And I just really enjoyed it. Like I had this whole, I knew where it was going. It was this big, long, overarching thing. But then Justin wanted to shut down. So, and you'll notice a pattern here. I was like, hold on, I'll take it over.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Like let's keep the party going. And I quickly learned that like when you run
over your head.
Well, when you run, running it was fine. But when you're running the Fed, like your shit goes out the window. Like like I'd worked it to. That's where like Scott first starts interacting with Carrie, because Straussman was there handling Carrie, and like we had a bunch of cool shit going on. But it's like, all right, well now I'm the guy, and it's a role play Fed. Now I'm the guy judging the shit. I can't be a mainstay. I can't judge it fairly. So I did it for a while. Because I liked the place and I believed in it. That's where I first met Brush when he was handling Liana De Ocho. Okay. Oh, and the karma thing I was talking about earlier. So I got for all my, I think Meg said I was a rebel. Well, I got my just due, because one of the handlers all the handlers in that Fed were great, except fucking Spooky Doom.
Spooky Doom.
Classic Doom.
Name.
Banned from FWC now. But man, that dude was fucking trying. God, he was fucking trying. The fucking character's gimmick was he was like the illegitimate son of the Undertaker. So fucking stupid. And he was just one of those guys, man. He just needled you to death over fucking everything. Anyone ever interested in the Spooky Doom saga? There's all kind of threads on FWC of his bullshit that eventually led to his banning.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's pretty wild. He once argued with me for like 3 hours over the use of the word I think it was telecast, either telecast or simulcast, something. I'm like, dude, it doesn't fucks it matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then like at the time, music was starting to pick up for me locally. Like the local alt paper was writing about us. We were getting a bunch of shows. We were traveling a little bit, doing shows, and I was like, all right, it's time to focus on this. I went to shut IWF down. Straussman came in, wanted to take it over. He took it over, ran it for a little while. I may have stuck around a little while for his run. I don't remember. And then I had another break. Then later, Brush had started RLW, Redline Wrestling.
Redline Wrestling.
Yeah, it was another like cool, like small indie concept. I didn't want to do the Douglas thing there, so I was like, well, let me figure out something. And the IWF shit ended with like his girlfriend in a coma and all this whatever. So when I joined RLW, Brush had this cool thing at the bottom of because it was role play, but I guess maybe he was going more hybrid. At the bottom of the application, standard app, but the very bottom was like, give me, I think you had to PM it to him. It was all on the form. And he's like, tell me one secret about your character that like, I'll be the only one who knows. And like, it'll pan out at some point or something. Right. And unfortunately the Fed didn't last long enough. I don't think for anyone's secret
to come out.
Come out. So I joined as Victor Vasio, the Lost Cause Victor Vasio.
Yeah.
And at the time, though, he was not a Mexican gentleman. It was a white dude under a hood that tied back into some history. But it's funny enough, I had no fucking clue who El Generico was at the time, because I still wasn't watching any wrestling.
Indie wrestling, yeah.
Well, yeah, indie or any. I wasn't watching shit. I'd catch clips here and there, but anyway, so yeah. So Vasio's secret was Scott Douglas under the hood. And it was because it was Lost Cause, because he was like, oh, fuck everything. He was nihilistic because the girlfriend in the coma and blah, blah, blah.
So you didn't want to do Scott Douglas, but you kind of did Scott Douglas.
I can't. When I saw that secret thing, I was like, well, shit, I need a secret. And I was like,
there you go.
I got it.
Yeah.
I was like, there's one person in this Fed who knows who Douglas is, and it's the owner.
And it never came out.
Never happened. And so now, obviously, people know he's in Defiance.
And now it's two separate people.
Yeah, sure. I just carried the name over. He sold the gimmick to somebody. It's old territory shit.
And he's a really cool T-shirt over at EWTs.com.
.com.
Gotta get those gimmicks in.
Yeah, so then that's it. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm fucking grown. What the hell am I doing over here? Tip-tapping on this damn thing. And then now, this is back to Justin. This is when Justin starts hitting me with the fucking text messages. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. I finally give in. I joined Defiance. Because like a lot of people, I'd heard bad things. And I joined Defiance. It was cool. Met a lot of people. Relinked up with Paul, who I knew back then, but not nearly as much now. Defiance was fucking great. Was having fun running stories and shit. 4, I got put on staff. They put a title on me.
Well, hold on now. Is Defiance your first Angle Fed?
100%.
So what was that transition like, having only role played all the way up for however many years to then, and now you're joining an Angle Fed?
It confirmed a sneaking suspicion I always had. Fuck role play. It's fucking stupid. I always had a problem. So I always had a logical issue with role playing. And now you're like, it's on YouTube or whatever. But like my shit with role playing was like, all right, where is this airing? Like there's always like the cameras overlooking the beach and so walks up and Sunday, brother. Like, all right, cool, but where's it getting played at? Where is this playing, and how is the opponent seeing it to respond? It never jived with me because we call them promos.
Yeah,
they're not. Promos are on TV. They're a small, tiny clip on TV.
Yeah,
and we're doing these 4 and 5 page, and at times much longer,
10,000 words. Yeah,
these crazy long role plays. I'm like, y'all motherfucker, y'all are writing short films.
Yes,
so I think this is at some point, and there are some people
on your YouTube channel. That's the only place that could air this.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There are some great writers out there who've written things I really enjoy. I won't be the first on here to herald like the Zero stuff was great. I remember coming back. I didn't even join anything. Coming back one time and just reading some of Pete's Impulse stuff and like his like how he wrote in the prose. Like I remember just messaging him like, hey, like that shit's really great. Yeah. So even in MWC, like Warren said, people complain he let us run Ruck Shop, but Warren's like they sent stuff in. We were just angling from day one, and we just didn't know the angle existed. And it's the second I figured out, the second Justin forced me to figure out it did, I'm like, oh, we've all been doing this wrong for 20 years.
This whole time. Yeah, this whole time. I joined Defiance with the same kind of attitude, like, okay, this is, maybe I'll try this and it probably won't work out. And I tried it, and immediately I was like, wait a minute, this is what I've been doing recently. I've been trying to meld a story into all this stuff and weave everything together so it comes out at the end. And that's exactly what an Angle Fed is meant to do. I found a new home, and we spent years there. You're still there in some capacity.
Still there, yeah, some capacity. I love the Angle shit. I loved working with Creepy Justin and those early times. And then like Uncut, I loved Uncut. I lived on Uncut. And so eventually. Paul's got it in the chat there. DefianceWrestling.com.
.com.
Yeah, eventually I liked Uncut so much, and for anyone who's not in Defiance who doesn't know, like it's technically a secondary show, but it's like a clip show.
It's the old Live Wire or the recap show that would recap stuff that happened, and here's what you missed, and
yeah exactly. Well, and now more so because the roster got so large. Now there are matches on there, but there never used to be matches. It literally just used to be a clip show. But yeah, so that was coming out a little late here and there, and like staff had to do nothing but just post it. And so I just reached out one day, like hey, like I'm not trying to be on staff or nothing. Like I know I'm pretty new here. I've been like a year or so. I was like, but I'll post. Like if you want to I'll be the Uncut guy, just so you don't have to worry about it. It was Murr. I reached out to Murr about that, and he's like, hold on a second. Like 5 minutes go by, and all of a sudden I get a message. I get an invite. I get a message. You've been added to the Def staff chat. Yeah. And I'm like, hold on.
Welcome to staff, Brian.
I'm like, what just happened? Like, I didn't even know all the inner workings. I just wanted to post uncut for you bi-weekly. And so I was on staff, and then that's about the time you came in with the UTA invasion stuff.
Yes, sir.
Well, you were already in the Fed. That's about the time you came into staff when we were merging the two.
Yeah, Feds. I was handling in the Fed and also running Wrestle UTA as an angle Fed, and decided that, hey, let's just meld the two because I don't got time for both.
Yeah, well, I think we were both dealing with a little bit of roster attrition at the time.
Yeah, so that as well. Yes, Defiance was having its issues. I was having my issues, and I said, hey, here's a way we can get like 15 guys together.
You're like, but caveat, Chris Ross is coming.
Chris Ross is coming, but I'm bringing Scott with me. He's a powerhouse.
Still to this day, still a fucking powerhouse. Yeah,
he was the one. I mean, he was obviously the world champion at the time, but coming in, I was telling people this guy's a force and doing well. I think he's the fist, or was the fist.
Come on, Scott R?
Yeah.
No, he's the one we fought over. Southern Heritage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Scott R. He's was and always has been a powerhouse of a writer.
100%. The man works tirelessly.
So anyway, Brian.
So Defiance was great, except for War Games, and we went through all that bullshit just for them to want to shut it down after. Yes. And I reached out to Tom Ford, and I was like, hey man, like I don't think I got the juice to like ask to take this over. Remember IWF, folks. I'm a creature of habit. Yeah, we reached out to Ford. I was like, hey man, you want to throw in on this, like take it over. And I actually Roland was a part of that original conversation too. But then I pulled out. I was like, nah, man, you know what? Fuck it. I've done this before. I love writing what I'm writing so much. I take the Fed over to keep it going, and then I can't write my shit, and then I don't fucking care anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
But then like 11th hour, like the last segment for that last show, Def TV 100. That last finishing segment that ended it all, and it was, we always end with "This is Defiance." It was going to be like "This was Defiance" or something like that. That was all written, and I came in like an asshole. Like, hey guys, how about
just real quick?
How about we? I was like, here's a plan how we can use what you got, but switch it around and keep it going. Yeah, because Mikey Unlikely was suing the Fed into bankruptcy, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's storyline.
Yeah, so that was gonna be it. That was gonna end it, and I think my big idea was like, well, let's have, because Dan Ryan had been there, and Jack Harmon's got like all these these characters with the rich gimmicks. I was like, why don't we just say these rich motherfuckers bought it, and that very half-ass hackneyed. That's what we did, and then from there, me and Ford, Roland didn't come on originally. Me and Ford carried it through some lean times. And then, I put the fist on Mikey Unlikely, which
carried us through the rest of up until where we're healthy, we're happy, and everybody loves it,
Oh yeah, that's better than what I was gonna say. Yeah, let's go with that. I was gonna say no one will let me forget it.
That's right. 499 days as Fist of Defiance.
Oh, it's so perfect that it's so perfect you cut it. Like we had to move something, right, to cut it short.
I think it worked out, or we did. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe we moved the pay-per-view by a day just so I could lose it one day before the thing I've been bragging about forever.
I mean, it was like the posting day or something like that, because the shit on the site works by the posting days. Yeah. But yeah. So then Roland, not recently, but not too long after me and Ford, Roland came. Well, no, I think we suckered Seth in first on the staff. So nobody wanted to be staff. But like, here's the big thing, and what really convinced me to do it with Defiance, and another reason why I love Angle. So taking it over was because so as you were leaving staff post invasion, as the rest of the staff were just done, like still hanging around, but like just no one had. I think Murr had really been helming it for a while. Pete was doing like the proofreading. And at some point it became me and you were doing a lot. And then when you left, it was just me doing everything and Pete doing the proofreading. And it wasn't that much work though. So I was like, yo, man, like the nature of Angle.
It's a well-oiled machine if everybody's working together.
Exactly. If everyone gets their shit in all the time, like it literally, the asylum is run by the inmates. Like,
you know the layout of the show. You know the format of the show. People are experienced enough to know, and new people are acclimated quickly because there's so many people ready to help, that if you do what you're supposed to and you post it to backstage, all the staff has to do is post.
Yeah.
The end. Now there is reading, there is editing, there is checking things out, and Roland and everyone does a great job doing that. But the nature of an Angle Fed, as Brian was saying, sorry to cut you off.
No,
is that it works by itself.
It really does. So that was a big reason, like, for me to convince myself, like, all right, yeah, we could do this. And then, yes, that's how it's been. And now it's forward myself to a lesser capacity. Roland is carrying, I dare to say, the lion's share of the work these days. And Seth's in the mix. Seth is, we have a completely, this is actually created by Evan. I'm blanking on Evan's last name right now, but Bronson Box, his handler. I believe. No one crucified me if I'm wrong. I wasn't around then. But we had this whole separate, self-sustained micro-fed kind of NPCs, kind of like an NXT to WWE is Brazen is to Defiance, and not to turn this into like a Defiance commercial, but Seth Wrestling.com. But Seth is not handling that, and it's he does. I mean, it's like short format on the shows or whatever. But man, he does some great stuff over there. So, anyone looking for a good Angle Fed, I mean, we're not hurting for people, but we're also not turning people away either. So check us out. And
it's a great place.
And as Paul said, and the rest is fistery. Oh wait, well, I mean, I guess it stands to say. So Scott Douglas is gone.
Yes.
We did a loser leaves town.
How did that happen, Brian?
I think we're out of time. Did we just hit the Pete rule?
No, I think we got plenty of time. I think we're actually doing pretty good. We got 30 minutes left.
Well, you know what? Here's what really happened, folks. So Mikey and I previously feuded with Mikey and Likely and Scott Douglas, and we kind of felt like we half-assed it.
Yep.
So we planned to do it again at a higher level this time, because now no longer Soher. Now it's the fist.
The fist of the Defiance.
Yeah, Mikey and Likely.
Well, no, go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Was it Mikey and Likely as the fist, and Douglas as the challenger? Douglas has been there forever. One of the main guys throughout the invasion. Definitely world title picture at this point. And
oh yeah.
And for some reason, my thing with Douglas, and you can go back. No one's going to. Why would you? You can go back through many things I wrote with him in Defiance. There was always this running theme of like, I mean, though he did have a good Soher run, there's always been this theme of like, in the big moment, like the whole Mighty Casey has struck out kind of thing. And I don't know if we worked everyone well enough, but everyone knew you were starting Classic. So
yeah,
I think the thought, or at least we hoped, the hope was it would be assumed Douglas is going to triumph over the evil Hollywood Mikey Unlikely, the sports entertainer kind of thing. That Jericho is stealing your gimmick now, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Must be reading Defiance.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the whole thing. And I don't know how many people we fooled, but yeah, like we ended up making it loser. What do we call it? Loser leaves or loser leaves
Defiance. Yeah.
Was it that, or was it like career verse title?
Probably.
I don't know. Some shit. Whatever. I said Douglas fucking lost. The end. And I'm done with him.
That was the end of your handling career.
Yeah, I mean, I still, at the time I had Victor Vassio kind of chilling on ice and Brazen, and then during those lean times, I would bring him up and handle him with new guys, like anyone coming in new who didn't know.
Who needs a dub?
Yeah. Which unfortunately, a few of those were flake outs, but
ones and dones. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. I think that is my entire EFED.
I think you had an incredible run in Defiance. I don't think that can be understated. Scott Douglas was a major character for a long time, even through the lean era when there was probably 10 handlers or 12 handlers running through. And we eventually made our way back to where it was very, very happy and healthy. And that's when I was happy to step away and do my thing.
Same. Yeah, say Douglas was a prominent character even and through the lean, but then when he wasn't needed anymore.
There's not the room anymore. I mean, Defiance it's huge. It's awesome. It's my favorite Anglefed that's out there because I spent years there and had a great time getting to know everybody. So I can't give it enough plugs. DefianceWrestling.com. Great Anglefed if you want to give it a shot. Yes, it is a vote-in system. I saw that in the chat, but honestly, everyone's so happy and positive. And as long as you're in there, willing to write, willing to help, and willing to take criticism, then I guess you're basically in.
The secret to the vote-in system: just write your app, make mistakes.
Yep.
No one's gonna come at you sideways like, "Oh, you're so fucking stupid. What are you doing?"
No.
They're gonna say, "Hey, I like this and I like that, but I'm not sure about this." Be open to change, or not necessarily change, but just be open to adapt.
Just if someone says something, don't be like, "Well, you're wrong. I'm right. I'm the best. I don't want to be here anyway." You won't get in. But if you're like, "Okay, I understand. Let's talk about that some more," people are probably going to be like, "All right, let him in."
Well, because at the end of the day, that willingness to talk it out, that's kind of the crux of working within an Anglefed anyway.
Yeah.
So if you can't do it in the application process, it's kind of like if you went to a job interview, would you get in an argument with the interviewer?
No, you're going to try to do what you can to get the job.
Like, motherfucker, what's your 5-year plan? Don't ask me. What's yours?
Why do you want me? We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Atomic Dropcast.
Oh.
Let's talk about our romantic story and how we met in Defiance chat after Brian had joined, and I didn't know who he was from Adam. I had said something along the lines of about wanting to watch old wrestling that I watched as a kid, the Attitude Era. I wanted to rewatch it over again and see what I thought now that I was in my late 20s so many years ago. And Brian's like, "Hey, that sounds like a cool idea. I'm down. Yeah. Let's do that." And so me and Brian started hanging out in chat and watching like old Raws and stuff. And like 1 or 2 episodes in, I don't know if we were doing video or if we were just chatting.
Well, originally we were just, I guess, per week, just watching. And then, like, just texting about it throughout the day.
Yeah, and so...
Like Facebook Messenger or something.
We were talking about this episode of Raw back and forth, and we were just cracking each other up. What we saw, what we thought, the jokes we come up with about Owen Hart did this and the Bulldog did this, and we were just cracking each other up. And I said, "Man, this would make a great..." Or one of us said, "This would make a great podcast." And before you know it...
Yeah, or somebody in the chat, maybe? I don't know.
But before you knew it, we were fucking trying to make a podcast out of it. And Brian and I were on a call every week watching an episode of 1997 WWF Raw or a pay-per-view and reviewing it and getting no listeners other than Paul. Hi, Paul.
And that's only because I sent the pilot episode directly to him, like, "Hey, check this out."
And so Paul was listening for a little bit, and me and Brian were trying to do this thing and get this podcast off the ground. We made banners. We did trade shows. We did Wrestle Legends. Brian flew up here. But before all that, I was down there for a work trip and met Brian.
That was before the podcast, right?
Oh, yeah, well before it. And Brian, was that the first time you hung out with an E-Fighter that you didn't grow up with?
100%. To my knowledge, the only time.
The only time.
Well,
no, not necessarily.
Fuck. Ron Hall.
And Jay.
Oh, yeah, and Jay. Yeah, that's right. When I came back. That's right.
So, see, so I was down where Brian lives for a work trip, and we hooked up and hung out and had a great time. And so then the next time that the podcast took off, I told Brian, I said, "Hey, come up here. There's a trade show going on. We'll hang out again. You can come up here." And we had a great time.
When you hit me up about that, everything in me want to be like, "Fuck out of here." Like, they're like, yo, we can get a table and it's not that much. And I was like, you know what? Hold on. I spent 15 years chasing this silly rap shit. Or 20, whatever, right? I was like, why not? Fuck it. It's something different, something new. It was great.
And it's a vacation, and it was a vacation for you.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want a vacation in Amish country?
Beautiful Ohio. So Brian, he flies up here, geographical oddity that it is, and I think his return flight was canceled actually, or something happened.
Yeah, that was that trip. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause we went to see some tomb or something, and then that's when I got
the McKinley Monument. Yes, the 25th President of the United States.
I mean, hold on. Was there not a dead body in that building somewhere?
There was 100% 2 dead bodies in that building.
So, as I said, a tomb.
Yes.
I just remember it being a tomb and a bunch of steps and a bunch of marble. Yeah, by the time we got down, I get the damn call the flight's canceled. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, fucked everything up. Because, again, geographical oddity.
That is Ohio.
To get there, flying into Akron, of all fucking places. Cleveland was easier. I'll give that. Cleveland was easier.
That's a surprise for anybody.
Well, hey, you know what? And people look at me sideways when I say it all the time. So the next time I flew in early, I got a hotel in Cleveland, and then Mikey came pick me up like after work that Friday or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I fucking loved Cleveland. Like,
it's a great city.
I had a great time. Like, it was fantastic. Like, some good food. And I tell people all the time, like, yo, Cleveland's fun. They're like, what?
When and why did you go to Cleveland?
Yeah. I was like, I'd go back.
Yeah. So Brian came back for my wedding, and that's I think that's all the times we've hung out. I mean, it's three times, which is
three times.
A lot for fucking e-fedders.
Well, all right. So let me flip the question on you then. So you've met everyone under the sun. How many have you? Well, probably Jay. How many have you seen multiple times? Well, I mean, who have you seen the most?
Gotta be Jay.
I say it had to be.
Yeah.
Because even Stevie and Murr is like just twice or 3 times.
Yeah, 2 times for Stevie and Murr. Jay, you 3 times, and Jay's got to be 5 or 6, just because I've been to Chicago 3 times. He's been here once or twice, and twice here and 3 times there. We went to AEW's All Out in 2000 together, or 2000.
God damn.
2020.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, we're rolling in there a little early.
Yes.
Gotta get the good seats.
So we were at All Out 2020. And Jay's definitely the person I've hung out with the most. So shout out to Jay. It's my guy.
I'll say
as well as you, Brian. Both of these gentlemen, Jay and Brian, both made my wedding. How about that? Both flew in from out of state, or I guess Jay drove. But
I was about to say I deserve a little bit more credit than Jay.
You flew in, and Jay drove in.
My mother, very no, take it back. No, I was about to say she very kindly donated her travel points, but no, that wasn't. That was the
first trip.
Yeah. That, you know what? That might have lent to the geographical oddityness of how I had to get there, flying on travel points.
So Brian and I are doing these podcasts. We're hanging out over the last few years. We've had a good friendship, and that's how we got to the EFED podcast. Once the Atomic Dropcast stopped and we weren't getting any momentum, our lives were getting a little crazier. We took a break, and eventually I told Brian, "Hey, I've got an idea."
And I was like,
famous words.
And I was like, hey, that sounds like a great idea. Have fun. Let me know how it goes.
And so I told Brian, I said, I want to start another podcast. It's going to be about eFeds. I think there's a void. There used to be a bunch of eFed podcasts between eFed Gorillas, eFed Journal, all these different shows, EW After Party. Shout out to Ford and Linz and everybody who did that stuff. But then I said, there's nothing big right now, nothing that's encapsulating everybody. And so the eFed podcast, I kicked it off with what little experience I had based on the Atomic. And 20 episodes later, I drugged Brian in.
Yeah, I thought I got off easy on this one. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll build you a site. I mean, I'm just going to copy and paste the Atomic site. But I'll build you a site and do some graphics. Sure.
20 episodes later, Brian's the producer for the last 70 episodes now.
You know what did me in? I made that fucking theme song.
The theme song, yes. And the Patreon, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I say it's been crazy. I'll say we leaked for a big thing that attributes to a topic dropcast is we leaked up at a very advantageous point in my life where I just kind of felt in a rut, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna say yes to more shit. I'm gonna do different shit, and that saying yes is a problem, and doing different shit has just led me back to the same shit I've been doing since I was fucking 15.
Still producing, you're still editing, you're still putting it out there. Brian, I just want to mention that the chat has gone wild about our bromance. They hear violins when we talk about each other. We send each other flowers.
Rick, yes, Cleveland does in fact rock.
Yes. Fun fact, Mikey came to Philly in a train crash. That is correct. While I was in Philadelphia, a train did crash.
Oh, shit.
I was also on Megan's eFed project many, many moons ago.
I've heard that.
Yes.
Did we upload that to Patreon or something?
I believe in the early days we uploaded that episode. Meg gave it to us, so shout out to Meg. And, of course, Paul loves it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
It's Mickey D's. See that guy where they're kicking those boxes?
No.
It's an old it's an old CKY thing from like CKY was like Proto Jackass.
Proto Jackass. Speaking of Proto Jackasses, Brian, we got a bunch of questions from the crowd. Oh, I love it. Are you ready for the questions?
Yeah, all right, hold on. Before we get to that, because I think after the questions we'll get to like a natural ending. So a little bit of business here.
All right, let's hit it.
Coming up soon here on the Twitch gimmick. We're gonna do for those for those who don't know, the handler Brush, who I always thought his last name was Brush. It's Ben Rush, which now saying that I don't know if he wants his name out there like that. But Ben handles over in Defiance, and
yes.
And as we went through, like I met him as the end of the Ocho and IWF, and then later I was in his RLW. So
it's also in the Wrestle UTA as Lando Docho.
Oh, the 8-bit legend.
Yes, yep. That's where I was introduced to him, and I didn't know who he was, but no, it was a very successful character, I thought.
Well, and prior to, I believe, both you and I, he was in Defiance with...
Oh, there you
go. Henry Keys, right?
Henry Keys.
So, yeah.
Back to Brush, yes.
Yeah, so... in Defiance, in Defiance's Discord, we have 2 bitty channels. One of them is Deaf Food, which shout out to Will. That was his idea, and it's probably one of my favorite channels in there right now. And so Ben's been making, according to this label, custom small batch hot sauces, where he actually, is fermenting the gimmick and blending it and doing his thing. See, Paul knows what's going on. Paul, if you get a chance, throw his link in there, the application gimmick. So I saw this and I was like, that seems super fucking cool. I like to give money to cool shit.
No, Meg, it's not a cooking show coming. Apologize.
No, well,
maybe
get a few more cameras. Maybe we can do that. TEFP grilling. So Ben's doing this thing. I wasn't the first to the party. I'm pretty sure Paul had already ordered his, and I believe Joe, who it's oddly enough because it's hot sauce, is fired, had gotten his, and I was like, yo, I'm all for this. Like, I was like, honestly, you know what? Worst case scenario, I'll use the money that we make. It's in the very small amount from the podcast. I was like, somebody paid us to do some cool shit. So anyway, coming up soon, we're going to do a special Twitch broadcast where 2 new sauces that I have coming, shipping to myself and also a bottle each of these 2 to Mikey. We're going to be trying them kind of like a hot ones-ish kind of. I mean, we're just going to try them just because it's going to be painful. Mostly because I got this sauce from Ben. And I painfully saved this tiny little bit. And for those listening to the interview earlier, it's Victor Saucio. Shout out to Paul. This was 100% his idea. I think in the TFB Discord, I co-opted it thinking it was mine, but no, it was his. He just said it, and I was drunk, and I was like, "Yes,
that's my idea." Yes.
So we're gonna. I got two new ones covered. One is making you guys pity since 2020. So the one that's coming is Victor Saucio 2. I guess this is a level 3 heat. On his application, he's got different little gifs of super kicks to like the amount of heat. Which I jokingly told him it sounds like the new one is gonna be if Sid Vicious super kicked you so hard that he broke his leg again.
It's gonna be like Test's big boot.
Yeah. So, ought to be said, that's coming up because it's being made. There's a picture, which I should have had that loaded up. There's a picture of it fermenting. He had to go get. There's 2 sauces. There's a Victor Vasio at a level 4. This one's level 3. And basically, I was like, yeah, it's not that hot. And I guess I challenged him unbeknownst to myself. So yeah, we're gonna have a level 4.
Unbeknownst to myself,
Mikey had shit all to do with this. He just got a message one day like, "Hey,
I've already committed to this. Will you do it?
will you eat some hot shit?"
As many times as I've already committed to things that I've included Brian in, I almost had to say yes.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you kind of.
That's where I was at. I'm like, I guess if I'm going to die on TEFP, this is the way it's going to be.
So we got 2 sauces coming. One is the new Victor Saucio, which is going to be a level 4 heat.
4 super kicks out of 5.
7 in the Superdome.
Brian, this is the longest get to I've ever heard in my life. All right, guys, coming up soon, we're going to be trying brushless sauces here on the EFED Podcast Twitch. Both the Victor Saucio and the unnamed super.
There you go.
Suck my dick sauce. It's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be tremendously bad. I love hot stuff. I hate stupid hot stuff.
Me too,
so
though.
It's going to be fun. He's talking about ghost peppers. I'm going to have the milk on standby. I'm going to have the beer on standby. It's going to be a good time, but it's going to be the end of that show because I will not be able to recover and keep going.
Much like my preamble, it's going to be a big build-up, taste, or out.
Out.
So what I was getting at is, to as a teaser for that, I saved this tiny little bit of the original. So, Mikey, cheers.
Cheers. Good luck, buddy.
It's a fantastic sauce.
Oh, you take a shot of it? Oh, he's chugging it, guys.
It was only like a little tiny, like a tablespoon in there.
The chat is going nuts for that little repartee we just had. Fantastic episode. Suck my dick sauce. Oh my god, that's the new name. Suck my dick sauce.
I love that. I love that as soon as Warren comes in, it gets vulgar.
Yes.
This has not been vulgar.
Shout out to Warren.
It's not been vulgar the entire time.
Sorry, buddy.
Hey, yeah, it doesn't have to be crazy hot. If you just like flavorful shit, Paul put the link in there. Holla at Ben, man. He makes a good shit.
Ben makes a good hot sauce. I know from what Brian's told me. So there you go.
It's good. It's really, I mean, there's some heat to it, but it's not. I'm not dying over here.
You're doing all right. Your face is a little red, but you're doing all right.
That's the hooch. We're getting drunk.
Without further ado, it's time for the questions from the crowd. Brian, we got a lot on Discord. Are you ready?
Well, hold on. First, did we get any on Twitter?
Zilch.
I'm living life right.
I knew you were going to hope for that when you said that.
No.
That's why usually if someone asked me that, I would be like, yeah, we got some reaction, but unfortunately. But no, with Brian, he's like, did I get anything on Twitter? And I knew he was looking for nothing.
If no one on Twitter knows about me or gives a shit about me, we're good.
We're good. You're going to make me have to go to the bathroom again.
This is ASMR. We turn that gain up.
ASMR. All right, Brian, from Cat Pasadena.
All right.
Joe's fired.
He says the
Yes,
firing.
hello.
He says the firing gimmick will not survive these questions. So Joe, you're fired for thinking that.
I think we're 6 deep. Yes, hello. Number 1, talk about why I'm such a valued member of Defiance that you would hate to lose.
Yeah, no, I mean, in all sincerity, Joe is great. But not only his work as a handler, but also his involvement with Scott R's the Defiance and his like reviews of with Tim Tillinghast and all that. Just great stuff, innovative way to do feedback and in a fun way. The feedback in an angle fed is super important.
Crucial.
It's crucial.
If you can go to that level, you deserve the biggest push there is.
At a time, feedback was on the uptick, but like it's always going to wane. And I think the previous regime had a bad habit, and I know Paul backed me up on this, of just like screaming on people for not doing it. We just highly encourage it. And we've always said, we don't care how you do it. Do it any way you want. And both Scott with the Defiance, starting the Defiance, and Joe's involvement in that have been incredible. But you're fired.
But yeah, again, Brian, with the big buildup, and then just
you got to work the gimmick, brother.
All right, brother. All right, Joe, you're fired. Get the hell out.
We'll hire you back.
I like Joe in the chat. Oh, this didn't go according to plan. All right, Brian. Up next. No, I'm sorry. He's got another question. When are you going to get the itch to bring Scott Douglas back?
Man, to be honest, the itch is constantly there. But I mean, he lost. It was career versus title. He didn't win the title. He's out. He's gone.
Are you going to bring a new character? And that's from Mikey Unlikely.
I mean, yeah, Victor Valsio. Honestly, gotcha. I have these fleeting ideas here and there, but the want to like write something full time, knowing that I can never like take it. Here's the thing: I don't have any stories I want to tell. If I did, I would, but like I'm not just gonna bring a character in because I'm not gonna bring a character and just work him up the card and then like I'm not putting any title on any character I have. So if there's not a story I want to tell, then yeah, I'm done writing.
You talked about it earlier. I think we got a few people with our angle and who was going to win and who's going to walk away with the title, because a lot of people A, thought I was leaving for Classic, and B, thought that there's no way Scott Douglas will be done forever. So I think it went well on that front.
At least in my mind, I don't know about anyone else's, Scott Douglas by the time we got there, he'd become too crucial to Defiance. Like everyone has like the Defiance little nicknames, like the Defiance's favorite son, like that was like, to me, that was cemented. Like it wasn't just something I made up, you know.
Maybe Victor Valsio is actually Scott Douglas.
Oh, a lot of self tanner.
There you go, and anti-aging cream.
What? I think they're probably the same age.
Okay, see, same age, from the same day, from the same mother.
Same age, same day for sure, because I just make all these fucks my age, my birthday, so I can remember how old they are. Because if not, who can keep up with that shit?
Brian from MDG Warren.
Oh.
Triple threat match. All three guys are in their prime. K9, Douglas, and Vasio. What are they fighting over? Who wins and who takes the fall?
All right, so working off the premise that Vasio is still Douglas under a hood, they're all fighting over who's the better ECW ripoff.
And who wins?
They're all fighting over who's the better Raven. And I mean, they're all in their prime, same age.
Nevermore.
I mean, Douglas. I got. Even though I ran K9 for Kevin Watson for so many years, he was very 2D for a long time. And by the time I wrote him more fleshed out, I was writing him as an old guy, like washed up. So yeah, Douglas.
Scott Douglas is going to win, and who's going to take the fall?
Vasio, because who gives a shit?
Because he's the cheaper Scott Douglas.
In this iteration, sure.
Iteration. Meg in the chat says, Sober David, you missed Suck My Dick Sauce. I love it. Let's keep that alive. Suck My Dick Sauce, the new t-shirt over. No.
Oh, God.
Can't do it. All right.
It had to be like, suck my eggplant emoji or something. Can't put that on a shirt.
Time Warp, MWC exists as an angle fed today, and all members who were in the fed remain. Outside of members of Manifest Destiny, who would you have elevated to the top of the card? And who would Manifest Destiny have been in an extended angle with? Did you follow that?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't like gone back and buffed up on that in a while. So I really only remember the people who were at the top. Like the names I remember, they were already at the top of the card.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat and I shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, but it's really hard to answer. Off top, if I could go back and do things, especially with Angle, at the time when we both had like a gusto to do this more. Joey Gray handled Just Insane briefly, and then later I believe he brought in Michael. I believe he brought in Michael Geddes. I would just to do something because I did it later and it was great. Just to do more with him at that time would have been cool. I mean, because honestly, like I said, all the other names. I mean, you got like Randy Harders, Eli Flair, Brian Blair.
One of the Killer Bees, Brian Blair.
The damn Warren's deal, the tag team, some Express. I'm blanking, but I mean, like all the names I remember were already at the top of the card. So that's tough. It's tough to say. Lunar Express. There you go. Sorry about that, Warren.
The Lunar Express. Hot sauce is hurting your brain, Brian.
No. Booze.
Booze hurting your brain. Alcohol.
Drinking way too often.
Classic Brian. All right. Warren with the Heat. Who's MWC going up against? Did you mention that one? Or I'm sorry, Manifest Destiny.
Yeah, I don't really know because at the time I don't remember any big factions. I'm sure there probably was. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the only like undercard guy I could think to work with would have been like Michael Geddes.
And here's one that even Warren and I have talked about discussing you in private.
Whoa, real quick. Let's not forget, I was an undercard guy. All right, go ahead. Sorry. In private.
All right.
In private, you and Warren have trashed me.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Trashing is strong language. More like talked about our experiences with you together. This is going a different direction. This is not that kind of podcast.
This is talking too much. This is talking too long, too much.
Okay, so the question is, what is the shortest phone call you've ever had with an E-Feder?
Well, to be fair, I've only spoke on the phone with not counting the guys I grew up with. I've only spoke on the phone with two, you and Warren. Well, hit the shortest one ever. Hey, is it this hotel? Yeah, it's that hotel. Oh yeah, I'm pulling around. All right. It was with Mikey.
Hey, you want a sweet tea?
That was a Skype message.
All right.
Hey, and it went unanswered for like 3 years. You guys want a water or a sweet tea or anything?
No, we're good. All right, thanks, Ron Hall. Okay, moving on. Sorry, guys. Inside baseball.
Inside baseball.
Undercard Scott Douglas. Warren says he doesn't trash anyone. We weren't trashing him for sure. We were just, like I said, talking about our extended experiences talking to Brian.
Yeah, no. If you catch me 5, 6 p.m. fresh off of work, and worst thing you can do is call me when I start drinking. It's an energetic drunk. Catch me later. I'm tired. I'm like, oh, hey, all right, cool, bye.
All right. Warren, thank you for your questions.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you.
That.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you for the MWC. I don't know if I put it over enough, and I know you didn't hear that portion yet, but yeah, I love my time in MWC. I don't know that I continued with this whole hobby as long as I have if it wasn't for that time at MWC.
All right, Brian, up next is hashtag is your mom hot OG.
Oh.
I wonder what he's going to ask. Question 1, is your mom hot?
I was always told she was.
Oh.
I can tell you for a fact she's not now.
Brian's mom has got it going on.
Brian's mom is pushing 60.
Hey, that's a gilf.
She's holding it together for her age for sure.
All right, there you go, Rick. Question 2, is she single?
Very much so not.
Not so single. Okay. Question 3, would you like to take Shawn Michaels super kick if it meant he touched you?
I mean, I don't really care about him touching me. I guess I would take it because, he's the best in the business. No one throws a super kick like he does. So, between his genius and the little beard puff, it should be pretty easy to take.
If you're anything like me, I would love to take a wrestling move from my favorite wrestler. It's like if you've ever seen, what's the WCW movie?
Oh,
Ready to Rumble. And they're saying, King me. And he comes down with an accidental smash on their heads. That's me 100% as a wrestling fan. If D'Lo Brown could give me a sky high and then frog splash me, best day of my life.
He might be willing to give you a pile driver.
At this point, whatever. I got my action figures on the wall right here.
Super Shawn Michaels mark, but also Rick, you spelled it wrong. Super Shawn Michaels mark, but yeah, I've never been like crazy celebrities. Now,
hey, hold on, hold the show. Get those questions off of your screen. You're not supposed to be reading it with me. Get it off. That's not part of the show.
I'm just trying to keep up.
No. Keep up based on what I'm saying.
I was gonna say as far as like touching a celebrity, the greatest thing I ever did in that regard is I shook Rakim's hand backstage, and I wasn't just like backstage. I was like with Rhymefest. It's a whole big thing, but yeah, I actually had to shake his hand, and I wouldn't. It's not really about a touch. It's kind of weird, Rick, but like just like shaking his hand and thanking him for what he's done was great.
Beautiful. All right. What's the name of the best tag team in Defiance, and why are you a part of it?
Oh, well, I guess it's a fucking 6-man tag team, but Cerebus. Yeah, Cerebus. The 3-headed.
The Cabal, you said?
The three-headed dog that guards the gates of Hades.
Everyone knows that. In fact, I was telling my Nana last week.
Everyone should.
There you have it, Cerebus. Also from Frick Riculous. Why is Bret Hart the wrestler you love so much and had every inch of your bedroom walls covered in pictures and magazine articles and even Bret Hart sheets? Why, Brian?
Counter question. They didn't really make Bret Hart sheets, did they? Wrestling Buddy was a bit far, but sheets?
I had wrestling buddies.
I had a Macho Man
one. That's the one I had.
No, honestly, it's a great fucking meme. It's a thing. I perpetuate it. The hate of Bret. I liked Bret Hart. I really did. I do feel he screwed himself. Not in the Vince McMahon way of it, but like not taking the business too serious, taking himself too serious.
Warren in the chat says probably just sold the sheets in Canada. I agree with that.
But yeah, now Bret wore on me in later years. I hate what happened to Bret. Bret is incredible. He's a great worker. He is not as good as he thinks. He's not as good as most people think, but he is incredible. And I fucking hate what happened to him. I cannot stand such a talentless hack ruin his career. But that being said, and again, not to say he doesn't have a little bit of a reason, but Bret's bitterness just And I'm bitter.
Bitter Brett. Bitter about bitter.
Bitter Brett.
Bitter Brian about bitter Brett. I love it. All right. Up next, Brian, it's Meg 5BW.
5BW.
Shout out to Meg in the chat, too, for the live show. Appreciate you. Well, I mean, Rick Ridiculous, too. I guess he's here.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, Meg. Hi, Brian. Long-time listener.
Hi.
Yes, you are. Long-time customer. Appreciate you. Question 1, why does Joe always get fired? Here we go. I lost track of references. I hope someone's counting.
I don't remember.
Why is he always getting fired, Brian?
I mean, all right, so certain like heels have like a slappable face. Joe just got like a fireable demeanor.
He's got a fireable head.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
It's much like I hate Fuzz. I don't know. I can't remember where it started.
It's all in character. In Brian, the producer character.
Yeah, it was just it's holdovers from Atomic Dropcast. Anything we would say on there that we would giggle at, we would just keep beating that horse until it was long dead. Much like .com.
I told Joe and people in chat that this will be the death of Joe is fired. Like, we can't go past this. This will be the ultimate Joe is fired episode. We've already had Joe on the show, so it's all or nothing right now. The bit dies today.
But does it?
We shall see. So Joe is fired for short ineptitude. I mean, we don't know.
I constantly find new reason to fire Joe.
Question 2, say something nice about Fuzz. Oh, she's on topic because you just mentioned him.
Fuzz is hold on. Nice. Like, does factual count as nice?
You can't just say a fact like Fuzz is Fuzz. That's not nice.
I was going to say Fuzz is not a producer.
There you go. But that's not nice.
I said it nice, though.
All right, so try again.
That's
one attempt.
Fuzz is not a producer.
Nope. That's 2 attempts. Try again.
I don't. That's the gag. I don't know Fuzz. I don't know.
Fuzz was an early supporter of the show and has been a Patreon from day 1.
Fuzz is a fantastic supporter of the show.
There you go. Boom. Retweeter, patron, and great person in our chat in Discord. So how about that?
To be clear, I have 0 issues with Fuzz. I don't even remember when the gag started. It was like it was just a bit like I hate Fuzz and I don't know why. And then
I don't know how she asked you to say something nice about Fuzz, and I just said like 5 things, just ripping them off. I have to tee you up as your co-host today. I gotta tee you up.
I don't default to nice. I'm sorry.
.com.
.com.
Serious questions from Meg. Do you believe someone who causes drama in the past deserves a second chance with you? Not naming names, Brian. I'm naming names. It's you.
I mean, it's all situational. It depends on the drama and it depends on who is still around that it may or may not affect, whether really affect or in their perception affect. I mean, some people can just be, I mean, if you're a pariah, that wears off, but if you, I forget the word, but if you just split a roster down the middle, I've been in lean times. It's not worth it to me. I do believe in second chances, but it's not worth it to me to fucking throw half my roster away for one person.
Yeah, truth. Good answer and actual factual. How do you feel about the current state of eFedding? The Meg question of all of the eFed podcasts, like 90 episodes.
It's the Meg version of Is Your Mom Hot?
It is. It is. What do you think? What does your mom think of the current state of eFedding? Should be the question.
And then the answer is always like her. She says, "What
is eFedding hot?" As Paul has said.
Exactly. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't read anything outside Defiance. I don't pay attention to anything. I hear about stuff via the podcast.
Brian only knows what happens because of what happens here on the show.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's in one ear, out the other. I mean, so like I got a lot going on.
Brian, what Fed does Meg run?
5BW. Now here's the thing. If you get a shirt with us,
Brian remembers you.
I'll remember you. Ring the Bell Wrestling, like OCW.
Hey, what Fed does Linz run?
Prime. I made the graphics.
Hey, what Fed do I run?
Classic-wrestling.
Brian, you know what's going on with e-wrestling. You just named the 4 hottest Feds in e-wrestling between Defiance, Classic, Prime, and 5BW.
I mean, I know what's going on to an extent. But again, that's all through this. If I would be perfectly happy living in the Defiance world, blinders on, and that's the Twitter effect. Like anything going on Twitter, just woof.
Brian, you're guilty by association. I got you. I've got you knowledgeable. I can get you to name Fed heads for 10 different Feds if I really wanted to.
I don't know about that. Yeah, but I might be pushing it a little bit.
We'll see. All right. Who's up next?
Who's up next? Thanks, Meg.
Thank you for yes, please. Thank you. Hi, Paul. DAF Radio wants to know. Question 1 of 42.
Oh, shit.
When we first interacted in 97 or 98, whatever it was, you were a small child.
I was 6'3" then, too. Sorry.
You sit before us today 100 pounds heavier, 4 times as hairy.
For sure. And
I say all of this to ask, what's the greatest lesson the hobby has taught you in your 24 years off and on? And hot and cold love affair with pro wrestling or fantasy wrestling?
I mean, the biggest thing is definitely that this shit don't matter. That sounds really like shitty, but it's factual.
Yeah.
So I'll rephrase it like this. I guess this is what it's taught me, and I don't think that I do, but you can extrapolate to other things. If you fucking like doing something, and it's not hurting someone else, if you like well, all right, that doesn't fit EFETs. No, if you like doing something. And it's not illegal or fucking somebody else up. Like, go for it, have fun. Don't. And you know what? And I think people answer Meg's question like about. She usually asks something about what advice you'd give a new EFET or whatever. So it's kind of the same shit. Like, this shit ain't serious, man. It's fucking make believe about make believe. So like, just and enjoy it if that's what you enjoy. And if you don't, leave, get out. I've done it many a times. I'm kind of not even in it now. Like, just get out and just don't deal with it. And then when you want to, come back.
That's it, man. Just have fun. If you're not having fun, or if you're just a dick, just fucking go.
Paul, the new TEFP slogan. This shit don't matter. It don't. It really don't. Like, here. End of the day, 38 years old, gray in the head as fuck. I've got many other hobbies. This shit don't pay my bills in the slightest. In the slightest. I bought us some hot sauce. I mean, I'm not counting the podcasts. I'm saying like the hobby itself does not pay my bills. And I think like any 13 to 15 to 16-year-old does with everything in life. I did take it. They're not too serious, but I did get worked up about it. Don't get worked up about this shit, man. Have fun. Don't get the fuck out. and so to answer Paul's question, so that's what it's taught me. I routinely say no to a lot of shit in life. Like, hey, you want to go to this bar? Or you want to go do that? No. Like, it doesn't sound fun. That's what e-wrestling's taught me. When it ain't fun no more, stop doing it.
Good advice. Question 2. As a low-key luminary, please have that ready for the lower third Chiron.
I need the definition of that word.
Is it fantasy wrestling or is it e-wrestling as far as you're concerned?
Fantasy wrestling.
And why is your answer whatever translates into profit for the EFED podcast? You got him, Paul. You almost choked.
The hot sauce didn't do it. But Paul almost did. Because as soon as he said it, I was like, fuck, I probably should say EFED. But I can't. I've already died on that hill. Like I've already gone on the limb, and I'm in the camp of Warren. Yeah, it's I think it's probably for most people, it's the way I found it. It's fantasywrestling.com all day, every day for the end of time. The only reason I think people switch to EFED and all that shit is because of the uptick in like fantasy football, etc. And that kind of the fantasy real sports kind of changed it because like now you're like, all right, you're watching stats and it changed the game. But to me, it's still fantasy wrestling.
I love to see it.
Paul, by your definition of luminary, for those listening, not watching, a person who inspires others or achieves eminence in a field. Synonym, celebrity. Not that.
Not that. Simply not that.
Oh, Lexi missed the choking because of the ads. I'm sorry.
Choke again, please.
wasn't really a choke. It was more like it was a held back spit take.
It was laughing with liquid in their mouth.
Drink was almost empty, so it's all good.
Question 3. An aside, Brian is a prolific hip hop artist.
Ooh.
Support this dude. People, check his music out. It's good. Swordgang.com. It's Savage Soul is the group. So I like it so much so that I made Mikey Unlikely's theme song one of the songs from Brian's group, Empire Aspire, as you heard early on in the episode. But yeah, check his stuff out on YouTube. Check it out on Bandcamp. Check it out on Spotify, and support Savage Souls.
It's everywhere. Anywhere you can get music, it's there.
It's there. It's at the record store. Get it.
If you can buy a physical copy somewhere, there's still an album out there with us on it. It's called it's Apathy is the artist. The album is It's a bootleg, Motherfuckers, Volume 3, Firewalk with Me. You can buy that in stores.
Along with Motherfucker Jones. Yes, right there. What is the one song or album or project that you're most proud of? You get one track or whatever you want the world to hear and fully get what you're about musically. What is it? Good question.
This sounds like a really fucking like MTV interview answer, but like honestly, it's the shit I'm doing right now that I'm getting ready to put out.
It's the new album.
And there's been a lot of changes in the group dynamic, so obviously it's very different. But for what is out there, what exists right now as an album, I gotta say Sword Gang, because it just came together. Like I produced, I think it's 5 tracks. I produced all 5 of those tracks in 5 days, consecutive days back to back. Made a new beat, and that is the album. So as an album, Sword Gang, as hearing us for the first time, probably some off Barbarians. I don't remember song titles, even in my own. Blood's a good one. Yeah.
It's a good one, I thought. Brian, someone wants to face me in the chat, so we're gonna make that happen.
What's the what?
I think the song you really, I think the song you really want everyone to hear is the EFED podcast theme song that you created, front to back.
There you go.
I gotta plug it.
Honestly, that's the first beat I think I've ever made with no sample.
I like it, and it works well for us. And we even had a little voice actor hire for it.
I had to do some stuff for me too, which I've used on Barbarians. The Sword Gang is going to kill you. And there's more shit. There's more shit coming. Like because I had stuff left over.
Brian, this is also from Paul. I famously tarnished the legacy of Scott Douglas at the end of his run by revealing the ugly truth to the world that your character rarely washes his crotch. You don't hate me for that, do you?
I mean, next question. What Paul has done with Deaf Radio.
So good.
I know for a fact there are people in here right now, at the very least Lexi, who are not in the Fed but have been in here for some of the Deaf Radios, or at least one of them. What he has done with that is fucking amazing. And hell, if he's working a heel gimmick. And if Scott had to be if Scott had to be the fodder, to me that just put the whole thing over more. You know what I mean?
It was tremendous. And when he reached out to me and we started working together, and he became like this Mikey Unlikely Mark in character, it was tremendous. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. And I was so ready to get involved with our storyline with it.
No, it worked perfectly. And if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of the early-ish parts of Def Radio, right? Like,
well, when it was coming back, yeah.
First couple, yeah. So, well, his version, Def Radio.
His version, yeah, absolutely.
His iteration.
Really good stuff. You should check it out here on the same Twitch channel you're watching right now. About every 6 weeks or so,
something like that. Yeah. I think he tries to get one in per arc, maybe, but it I guess usually pre pay-per-view, give or take.
Paul, why don't you go ahead and let us know here in April 16th coming up. Check your local listings. It's right here on the Switch channel / the EFED podcast.
And if I'm not mistaken, we've got some things to do to change this, but if I'm not mistaken, past episodes might be available on SoundCloud. Paul, link, please. SoundCloud. Paul went from note hi Paul to like link, please.
All right. Paul is now the producer of the show.
Oh, stand by. He says stand by.
Stand back.
All right, Joe. What was his producer? Joe? He fired Joe Stats.
All right, stand by. No. Question 5. Have you ever actually written a word for Victor Vasio character, or is it 100% ghostwritten?
I wrote a lot for Vasio. A tiny bit in RLW, which I guess technically would be writing for Scott Douglas, and then the early. So a couple years after taking over Defiance, we were asked to remove a few people from Brazen. Not a lot, like 1 or 2. And we obliged, of course. Like, yeah, since the character was on loan, So we did that, and then it got us thinking, like, well, we should probably revamp this roster. So we were doing that, and I was like, well, hey, fuck, I got one I can throw in, and it was Vasio. Again, I switched him to not Scott Douglas and just his own guy. And because he'd never really been stood up as a proper character, truly. And but then as new people came in the lean times, I think we had Ultimo Phoenix is the main one I remember, who didn't make it through an arc. But I would bring him up. I would write with them to kind of help, especially because when people would pop in mid arc, it's tough to work them in the fold sometimes. So I would use Vasio in that regard. I mean, I'm sure there's some other examples. That's the only one I really remember. But then we also did some. Then later, Seth, or maybe Seth and Ford, but who run in Brazen, put the title on him, the Brazen title on him, and then we got to do some cool stuff with Roland's character, Gage Blackwood, where it was kind of title, not title versus title, but title like I think like he had like forfeit the Brazen title to challenge or something. So I wrote with him there, but I guarantee he definitely Roland wrote the bulk of that. And and Warren, that's when I was like, I'm ready to really run with Vasio. I think it was before Douglas was even gone. I was working with Warren, and he definitely ended up writing the lion's share of it. But I really like that's some of them 3-hour conversations setting that up. I really like writing that stuff with him, and I was planning to continue on. And I'm not gonna lie, and there's no shade to anybody. I just kind of got lost in all the Cabal stuff and bowed out. Especially when Douglas is gone, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. Yeah, holler at me when you need some translated Spanish. And that just kind of stuck. You know what I mean?
Is it me, or is Joe just trying to get fired at this point?
He really is. Paul, I'm glad you see it. I mean, for fuck's sake.
He's bought into the gimmick.
I mean, you gotta work the gimmick. So I don't fault the fact that he works the gimmick. I guess he's hired.
Hired. He's back.
He's the hired guy.
Hired guy. Joe is fucking hired. No, it doesn't work. Number 7. Not a question, but a statement. You and I have been peripherally aware of each other for the better part of a quarter of a century.
Wow.
But it wasn't until the last 5 or so years we really got to know each other, shoot the shit, and I appreciate getting to know you. You and Mikey do something fun and unique with the podcast, and I appreciate your passion for production and natural music talent. Salute, brother.
Oh, thank you, sir. No, hey, Paul's fantastic, and I don't know how often he does it anymore because I don't really frequent the Book of Faces. But man, Paul is an excellent fucking musician himself, and every once in a while he'd pop on these live streams and just like fucking beat the shit out of a guitar and wail on the mic, and it was fucking fantastic.
It was great.
Shout out to Paul, man, and not just that, like talking about producing, like the production he does on Def Radio, fucking A+.
What he was doing on Facebook years ago is what Twitch is now. People are literally doing that on Twitch every day.
For fuck's sake, Paul, get a Twitch account.
Get a Twitch account. Start doing that shit. I'll subscribe. I'm ready.
100%. I mean, I'm not gonna give you my Prime subscription.
That's reserved for the EFED podcast.
Yeah, no, people for sure do that shit.
And don't sleep on Def Radio, the greatest in-character radio show in e-wrestling, period. I don't care who you're dealing with. I don't care what you're dealing with. In-character radio, Def Radio is the answer.
It's funny because I think, but Paul's like, do they? No shit. I think we just killed Def Radio. Paul's gonna start doing fucking
Twitch.
Yeah, it's his Twitch account. He's be gone.
I'm literally subscribed to 2 or 3 different guys who just jam and play blues on Twitch. So it's legit, man.
Yeah, man. It's a platform.
Goodbye, cruel world. All right, Paul. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, man. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Roland's up next. Put it to rest one final time. Say 3 nice things about Bret Hart and mean it. Man. You do understand he's better than Sean, right? You do understand he's the one with the most sound technical wrestling only ever, eh? And that figure 4 leg lock off the ropes, the pendulum backbreaker, the leg sweep, all of that so glorious, so wonderful.
All right, first thing, you know that figure 4 leg, you know he invented that.
I heard that. That's one.
No, in sincerity, Bret Hart was a amazing ring psychologist. A little boring at times, but he was great. And three, he deserved better than being ended by that fucking hack.
Oldberg. Also, like, what are your favorite memories of Defiance? Good question.
Yeah, man. It honestly, it's a great question. Honestly, it's hard to narrow down, but
pick like 3 or 4 highlights.
Winning the Soher.
Okay. War Games, obviously.
Oh God. I hate the way
I never want to ever be involved in one again.
I hated writing it, and I hated the way it read, to be honest. The whole electrified Kate. Winning the Soher was great. Coming in and working with Creepy Justin in the early days with the Reapers and all that, and then I had Madiri Kawa, who unmasked to be Derek Allen. Kind of my whole intent, I was like, I'm gonna come back just to finish that IWF story, and didn't. But so those, and this was a little oddball, and maybe I'm missing something really blatant, but I really liked. We talked about him earlier, how he's a workhorse, and I hated that he left with that character, or left period, and then when he came back, he didn't really bring that character back. But I loved doing everything. I was doing everything I could, and even catching flack for it from Douglas losing too much, but like putting over Crimson Lord at DEF CON when. It's a rare. So the only time Defiance leaves the Defplex is to go to the Lakefront Arena for DEF CON. And I was like, yo, it's a perfect opportunity. Logically, it makes complete sense. Empty arena match. And Crimson Lord, Scott Douglas, empty arena match. So I don't know if the execution came through like we wanted it to. I just remember one thing that me and him had talked about and the way we wrote it out. I can see it still happening in my head, like where it's an empty arena, and it's a Defplex. It's just fucking chairs set on the floor, and just collar and waist. He slings them, and like the way we described it, Douglas just like hits 3 or 4 chairs and like then hits the ground, but then just keeps sliding and it's just like dominoes of chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's not like a huge achievement, but
it's some of the stories that you just remember the most that stick out in your head.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say, and for the third one, but moreover, that period of time for Douglas when the roster was starting to boom, where to most people's estimation, I just jobbed him out to anybody just to work them up. But I mean, like that's what it's that's what you're supposed to do in my opinion.
That's what the vet does, right? Helps the new talent.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Roland.
Hi, Roland.
Check
the barrel.
Brush is up next.
Brush.
That's Mr. Last name Brush, if you haven't heard.
Always been Brush to me.
What are some of your favorite memories of the IWF? And is Leyenda de Ocho the worst marble mouth luchador name you've ever heard?
When I first read it, probably. But
Leyenda
but now it just rolls off my tongue, and I only had any dealings with him in that short IWF period, and that name still sticks in my head. I still remember the 8-bit legend. Matter of fact, dude, talking about like the white dude under a hood. I don't remember. Is Leyenda de Ocho actually Mexican or?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Anyway, he was from Chicago. I remember that. What was the other thing? The first thing, favorite IWF moments?
Yeah, favorite memories of the IWF.
Oh, I mean, just that whole Fed in general. I had the name, the actual first name, surname. I created the entire Scott Douglas character there. He's from Seattle because that Fed was from Seattle. So that the
hometown hero.
Yeah. I mean, the Defiance's favorite son comes from Seattle's favorite son originally, and then working with and getting to know because again, much like Paul, apparently in SCW. I worked with Justin, but getting to know Justin better there. The Strasma, as far as I know.
Yeah.
First time I worked with Strasma with Carrie, and then that started the Scott Douglas. We didn't really cover in the thing, but that started the Scott Douglas Carrie Kuriyama kind of rivalry. Rivalry at the time that became a friendship and later became Seattle's best.
Yeah.
As a tag team, because I only named tag teams as a city and then put best at the end. San An's best, Seattle's best. And
anything coffee wise is great.
Well, yeah, that's why I did it. I was like, hey, it's a throwback to my old tag team name, and Seattle, it's coffee. Seattle's best. Perfect. Honestly, I loved everything in IWF except for Spooky Doom.
Everything but was terrific.
Spooky Doom and trying to read Eric Beto. Trying to read his role plays. He wrote. They spoke a thick Southern patois, and he wrote it phonetically. God, I hated trying to read that shit. Good writing. Just tough to read.
Speaking of tough to read, Brock is up next. Just kidding, Brock. What's your favorite gimmick from the podcast? Good question.
From the podcast?
Yeah.
From this one?
Yes, sir.
Not the Jim Cornette. No. I mean, .com.
.com.
Yeah. Which, fun fact, they associate with the podcast, obviously, but I think a lot of people associate that with me. I took it from you, from the old podcast. you did it. You did it on Atomic Dropcast, and I just once I started,
we reversed it. We flipped it. Once I started saying the .coms.
Yeah, once you were the host, I needed something to say.
Yeah, it was atomicdropcast.com, and you'd be like .com, or vice versa. Yeah. I would say .com.
If not, a close second is the one we can't talk about. Yeah,
it's your interview. We can say it one time.
Shoot pop. That's my fucking favorite because it was such a off the cuff. It was during the Top 100 live Discord thing. Did we even record it?
The original one, I think. I don't know.
It was year one, and no, because you were releasing them, and we were giving it to the EFED. We didn't have Patreon. We were giving it to the Discord early, and yeah, I was just doing like a hype man gimmick because I didn't know what else to fucking say, and a lot of these names I don't really know. And then you got to shoot and like shoot, pop, pop, and it was obviously the community thing, but yeah, the way that took off. I love saying dumb shit that I think nothing of that people keep bringing up. That's my favorite.
Like suck my dick sauce. Yes,
exactly. I don't know if we should really foster that one, but all right.
I don't know, but yeah, that's the same path, and it did take off quite a bit in the chat. So
bigger answer, man. Honestly, I love any dumb shit we say on here that gives anybody any joy, especially if it's a continued situation. If you want us not to say something, the worst
just
thing.
Tell us.
Well. Yeah, but the worst thing you can do is like in open public. I don't like that. We're gonna say it more. You have to DM us. Well, not me, because I'll be like, whatever. DM Mike, be like, yeah, can y'all stop that?
And I'll tell Brian, hey, we gotta stop this. And he'll be like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I might argue for a second, but eventually, I'm like, well, all right, whatever.
I'm like, is it worth it? And he'll be like, no. That's what it comes down to. Is it worth it? No. All right. We live streamed the first one, says Ridiculous. We live streamed it on our Discord.
Yes, yep.
Sounds about right. All right. Also from Brock, what do you most regret about being talked into producing the podcast?
Oh, the fucking time suck.
Yes.
Man, Brian
has to not only listen to the interview, but he's got to knock it down. He's got to listen to it more than once sometimes.
Yeah, and I've figured out some ways around that at times, but yeah, no, it's just the time, and I'll procrastinate and put it off to the last minute, and you're all well aware of that,
as all e-fedders do.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves.
I've always pushed the deadline, and I've missed it a few times. I've looked up from the screen or down, whatever. I've looked up from somewhere a few times and been like, "This is nowhere near done." And I'm drunk as fuck. I gotta go to work.
The producing side is pretty tough, and it's time consuming, and it kind of sucks you in. But the time that Brian and I get to bullshit and be on the phone and do this stuff, we have a blast.
Oh, 100%.
Between that
and how much of a blast we have generally translates into how hard it is to put this all together.
Yeah, right. Especially when we drink a little too much.
Like this one. This one's gonna be a little bit of a slog.
Yes. Have fun listening back, buddy. All right. Can you out battle rap John Cena? And what about Mikey? And are you drunk enough to try?
Hey. Cena by himself, sure. Cena with the guys who wrote for him, which is Trademark to a lesser degree.
Oh, you actually know who it was?
Yeah, well, Trademark to a lesser degree did the whole album with him, but they're also Esoteric, and I don't have any proof of it, but there's an odd thank you in the Jedi Mind Tricks album liner from Vinny Paz to John Cena, and Esoteric and Vinny Paz are pretty close through AOTP, so yeah, probably not. But then again, he was not a great battle rapper.
He was just like he put it out on an album, right?
He did. Well, he had the battle raps in the ring. He just come down to the ring with the mic.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
He the same gimmick the fucking Acclaim's doing now or whatever. But I mean, so that kind of stuff is real simple. But I'll say this, and I've been dyed in the wool with this rap shit for a long time. John Cena's album is pretty fucking good.
It's not bad.
It's
very well produced, and he didn't write it. Obviously, it's well written.
He's got bumpy knuckles.
He doesn't have a terrible flow.
No, he's got bumpy knuckles on the album, which I mean that says a lot. Esoteric's on the album. That honestly, here's the thing: Trademark is not bad. We got better flow, and Trademark probably wrote a lot of his shit. To me, Cena sounds better than Trademark. Like if you really look at it from a lyrical level, fucking Cena's got he's got some intricate syllable play. So I mean, I would never. I don't want to judge him on what he was doing out there on the wrestling show. But yeah, now his recorded thing, it's really not bad. And later he scored. It's worse than the album, but later he scored a feature with Murs, not Mur, with Murs. With Murs on
Mur wants that feature, I'll be honest. Oh shit. All right, good shit. And yes, John Cena wasn't too shabby, and Brian could not out rap battle me. That is a known fact.
No, can't do it. Or Ice Tray. I mean, you put Ice Tray and Mikey in a group, and Savage Souls is done for.
Listen, there used to be videos on me on YouTube rapping, but they were so ill, I had to take them down, or no one else could rap.
There was an embargo on rap?
That was Mikey Too Likely back in the day, before Unlikely existed.
There you go.
Obviously a ripoff of Scotty Too Hottie. All right, moving on for Brian from Brock. Are you ready?
I guess.
Who is your favorite patron, and why is it not Brock?
I mean, I don't have a favorite. Everyone who supports, it's greatly appreciated. Don't get me wrong. Anyone who pays more. Thank you.
So, Alex?
yeah, basically.
No, shout out to everybody who helps on the Patreon, patreon.com/EFED podcast.
/EFED podcast. No, yeah, I don't have a favorite. I mean, and we've had a bunch of people come in, come out. Like, hey,
thank you.
Anybody who supports Mikey and I actively, like the Hardy Boys, killing this hobby. Hardly Boys. Oh, yeah.
Wrong
Which
way.
No, you go back where you were. And there you go. No, goddamn it. There it is. There, you stay there. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, we're killing the hobby. Like,
anybody who supports us, we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's a dumb little thing we do. And again, like Mikey said, he and I agree with him when he came up with the idea. There's a void. I was like, yes, you're 100% right. I was like, I think that's always like the market share will be small because it's a niche thing, but there is a void, and you can fill that void. And that's what I told him on his wedding night.
All right.
No. What I actually told him on his wedding night is like, "Hey, man, it's been fun, but I got a headache, man. I'm gonna go crash. I get up early and try to get this Uber from middle of fucking nowhere."
Real Roland and Ross have to fight to the death with a hatchet. Who goes over?
Real Roland and Ross.
Yes.
The Ermerman brothers.
Famously, the Erman brothers.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Yes, Lexi, you do support by showing up here. Thank you for showing up here. Well, Roland tried to really paint me in a corner with that Brett thing, so I'm gonna just stick to my guns and say that Real's got to go over because he's the only American in the bunch. You damn Canadians, go check your barrels, bud.
Oh, and check the barrels.
Check the barrels.
I wish I was wearing that shirt.
Everybody loves to talk about how great he was as a heel. Yeah, how great was he sitting in the fucking wheelchair as fucking Davey Boy's like, oh, and check the barrels.
How good was Owen at checking barrels, though? I mean, that's the real question.
Owen is a top-notch barrel checker.
Top 10 all time.
Hey, I don't know that Owen did anything bad, but I'll tell you this: he's the GOAT on that barrel checklist.
He's up there with Rick Dickulus checking for bags of milk. Brian, who's going over? Real's going over. Real is not going over. I'll tell you that right now, Brian. And let me tell you why. Real has abandoned the manly chat, and I hope he listens to this because we've been talking shit, and he is not there to receive.
Well, I have to stick to my guns that Real goes over for one reason. joke reason.
Because the other two are too nice.
Huh?
The other two are too nice.
Well, yeah, that. But one reason, joke reason is USA, USA. The real reason is knowing the both of them fellas. Real is the only one that knows how to handle some tools. Like he's a working man.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll go with that. All right, from Brock, why are you anti-little people in wrestling?
It's fucking corny.
Hold on, no. Corny's okay.
Oh, corny. Yeah, no. It's just dumb. I don't like it. I didn't get it. I never got it. Won't get it. It's stupid. At the very least, it's in this woke society today. It's fucking exploitative, right?
It's almost like you can't do it now.
Can you send some emails out to some promoters?
Meanwhile, it's like taking jobs away from them. I don't know. It's catch-22, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never been like, oh shit, a minis match, yeah. And
all right.
There's a promotion. They still call it midgets. There's a promotion that comes through here pre-COVID. It used to come through here pretty regularly and put on a show in a bar. And I'm like, and then you got those people who know them well, but like they don't know why or whatever you're into wrestling, but they know you're into wrestling. So like, oh hey, did you see the midget thing? I used to be like, man, I don't want to see that shit, but now I just get them with it. I don't know if you can say that.
Yeah, you actually put it on them.
But they literally still call it that. It's still on the flyers, midget wrestling.
Finally, from Brock, what is your stance on gerbils?
No stance.
No stance. I don't know if they stand or not, to be honest.
I mean, like when they're up there, like trying to get to the water bottle, maybe.
But that gives it like they use the water bottle. They use the glass to stand, right?
Yeah.
So Rossi Orton wants to know. Shout out to Ross. Thanks, Brock, for the questions and the support.
Shout out to Ross. I don't know about Thank Brock.
Shout out to Rossi Orton. So much to unpack here, he says.
Oh, God. You're fired, Ross.
Does Savage Souls need a pushy manager to ensure they go platinum? Which you could clearly deserve. So if so, look no further than this Canuck.
Canuck?
Canuck. What did I say?
Canuck.
I've been studying Spanish and I'm pronunciating vowels.
How much can could a Canuck chuck if a Canuck could chuck cans?
I'm not sure, but I know that normalmente es fatal. Normally that's fatal. Or normally is fatal.
All right, so to jump back real quick to how much of Victor Vasio have I written, I'm going to need you to write the rest.
I've taken like 2 lessons, all right?
I've taken
not that far.
I've taken none. I literally Google translated all. I can understand a good bit of it from working in construction for 20 years, but I can't speak it. Ross, pushy.
Do you need a pushy manager?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, hell, I'm down several people in the group. I'll take one more on. That does nothing for me.
Can you talk about your passion for barbecue? Basically, any and all red meat. The pics you post in Def Food Channel always make me hungry and jealous in that order. What's your secret, and what do you enjoy grilling the most? Good questions.
Yeah. You know what's funny? So I don't necessarily love red meat in the way I was grown to understand it. Like I don't love beef, but I will cook it. But fucking pork is red meat. They lied to us. Assholes.
Once you cook it, yeah, you realize.
Well, yeah. So, but I cook a lot. I don't post it as much because it's more the common stance. I cook a lot of chicken and mostly chicken thighs because chicken thighs are fucking cheap and they're delicious. I don't really have a secret. Smoke is a secret. Smoking food, and not necessarily like just long smokes or anything, but smoking food just makes it taste delicious. I love apple wood and cherry wood. And more recently, the past 6 months, everything everyone's seeing. I was gifted a smaller but a pellet fed grill, and the pellet like I kind of when I was getting into it, I would never tell anyone to shy away from it, but when I was getting into it, I really enjoyed the lump charcoal and the wood chip, not wood chips, like the wood chunks and like just that whole thing. But then when you then go fucking try to smoke some ribs or like a pork butt that takes 8 hours or whatever, fuck out of here. It's too much, and I got like 15 steps to get to my backyard, to get down from my kitchen to my backyard. So I got this pellet fed grill, and it is the tops. It's fantastic. Takes a little bit of the ritual out of it, but I love it. And then also Meat Church. There's a brand out of Texas called Meat Church. They have a bunch of seasonings. Some are here and there. There's one I really like called Charleston Pig, but it's harder to get. But the Meat Church one has one called Holy Voodoo. Holy Voodoo, it's a season, like a dry rub. Put it on anything. It's delicious. I put it on everything. I put it on beef. It's just delicious.
What company is it again?
It's called Meat Church.
Meat Church. Check it out. Give it a Google.
They're out of Texas.
They're out of Texas, but they still got some Oklahoma left. All right.
Well, hey, they'll be out of Oklahoma sooner than later.
But sooner. I see what you did there. All right. Finally, from Ross. Lastly, can you please fire Joe on the spot live on the air?
Joe, you're fired.
Fired. All right. Perfect. All right. Seth is Burns up next. Brian, we're getting into the thick of things. We still got a lot to go.
God damn, I'm about to have a drink.
Let's roll through these.
All right.
Say something nice about your fellow Defiance staffers. Roland is optional, and you can say whatever the fuck about him.
Oh man, no, everybody's great, man. Me and Tom took it over and propped this thing back up when it was seemingly falling into a failure. Seth came in at the perfect time to be that third party, and then as I was getting ready to make the exit as a handler full time, Roland came in and just fucking took over. Really, the group still makes the decisions, but Roland handles the day to day for sure.
Brian, you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
All of the 4 people, Roland, Seth, yourself, and Tom Ford. I've met them all.
Oh.
I've hung out with them all in Seattle, in California, in Ohio, in Chicago. I've shared drinks, I've shared joints, I've shared Chicago Bulls games, and I've shared amazing Japanese burgers with all of the above.
And spilled an ashtray on one's couch.
And hey, I already included you. Why you got to go there?
I got to get it. It's about my history knee fetting. I got to get in there once.
I've been working all the territories. No, I've been all over. I'm still planning on hitting some more places. I got more people to meet, Paul included.
Oh.
So we'll be doing the rounds. But yeah, it's pretty cool that had an experience with all 4 of the people you just mentioned.
100%. That's why you got the fist. Story I'm sticking to.
That's probably right because everybody knows me, right? Anyway, all right. How many times can you fire, rehire, and then fire Joe in one podcast? I think we're up to about 10, Brian.
Well, yeah, but see, here's the thing. I did once. I rehired him once in this, but I never rehire him. As a rule. He just as we've seen, my memory for what's happens in this EFED thing, I don't remember shit. So
Joe was fired long ago. Brian just doesn't remember that we filed the paperwork, and he's been firing him every day since.
And he just keeps slipping back in, and I get up and go to work the next day, and I don't fucking remember. It's a goddamn EFED.
Then he sees him in the hallway. Joe, you're fired.
Yeah, you usually as soon as he opens his mouth, it's like, oh yeah, you're still here. You're fired.
Favorite angle and or match from Scott Douglas's Defiance run.
Favorite angle or match.
War Games.
I don't really have that many great matches. All right, so the angle, I really liked what me and Creepy Justin were doing with Douglas and Reaper. We're building to all that, and like it was working. And I'll say this: it was working enough that on a podcast, the old Def Radio, different deal, not in character, featuring Mur is the host. I was gonna say you're actually on the next one. I forget who was there, but they put Douglas over big, and but also we're saying also like they wanted to see him do more just like regular wrestling, kind of stuff, and I was like, word, that's like for in that group of people in this Fed, like that was high marks. I'm still gonna do what I'm doing. Like I gotta see it through. But then like what I didn't know is like that was the precursor to them putting the Soher on him, which unfortunately like really convoluted and fucked up my story. But whatever, still it was honestly that's one of my biggest achievements. The secondary title in the Fed I run now is one of my biggest achievements.
My biggest achievement is having 6 people still hanging out with us at 12:30 in the AM here on the East Coast. Thank you, Seth, for the questions. Appreciate that very much.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Kevin, as the glue that holds the podcast together, how do you prevent yourself from going mad with power?
I don't really have any. Well, except for taking Brock's swords away. Where's Brock? If he's got a sword, I'm fucking taking it.
He's not in here. I believe I've got a sword. You're not taking that one.
Nah,
Paul's got one.
Paul's got one for Death.
All right. Your favorite admin. This is Lynn's up next.
Lynn's.
Hello, yes, big Brian fan here, coming in hot with the questions.
Oh.
Question 1, Defiance is about to have its biggest show of the year, looking ahead to the next calendar year. What are some of the feuds you'd like to see?
This is very self-serving, but working with Rick and Strasma with the Cerebus shit, we're obviously new in a building arc, so I'm interested to see. We're just like working NPCs and like just one-off stuff. Like we're not into like an angle or an arc, overarching angle. So I'm interested to see where they want to go with it, and it should be fun. And pretty recently, Paul's brought Corvo Alpha to the
Corvo Alpha,
to the main show. So I'm interested to see what he's gonna do. I'll be honest, I'm a couple shows behind in reading. But I mean, Oscar Burns has been heel for a while, and that's interesting because that's so wild style. Like after beyond Douglas, there were 2, and they were just right behind him, and it was Gage Blackwood and it was Oscar Burns. Like amidst that whole invasion, where basically that's why invasions suck. They're so tough to do. And
they really do.
And the hubris of everyone that we can do it right. You didn't. You couldn't.
You
didn't. We didn't. It was wrong. Because whoever's in the home Fed, everyone becomes the face. Everyone from Def had to be a face. No matter what they were doing prior, everyone from UTA, Utah, had to be a heel, and that fucked a lot of shit up, really. But I say this: with Douglas gone, the last two, and don't get me wrong, LT's back. She's old school, deaf. But like the last two torchbearers through that invasion are Burns and Blackwood. Blackwood fucking lost his shit, went heel a long time ago. For fucking squeaky clean, hey GC, Oscar Burns go heel, crazy. Man, honestly, man, I can't say bad about anything anyone's doing. Yeah, it's great. Not being nearly as involved as I once was. I stayed behind on the reading, but I enjoy everything. I enjoy what I'm seeing. Like again, back to the point earlier at the beginning of this, Angle feds run themselves. Just let them.
Resin versus Dex Joy. Let's go.
Oh, hey, and that again right there, Strasbourg. Resin is a crazy great character. Though I am a big proponent that via history and via pedigree and et cetera, I want to see Carrie because we touched on it. I handle Carrie a little bit, but since Strasbourg's been back, it's all him. That's one of my favorite moments in Death. The Carrie Douglas deal. After Douglas loses.
The big finish, the end of the pay-per-view.
And they meet in the hallway or whatever, and he's like, fantastic. Now Straussman's a great writer. He does crazy great stuff. And I think carries points for big things. Resin obviously is on the come up. Fucking fantastic.
All right, Brian, what's the best part of being a Fed head? What's the worst?
Best part is I was able to, as I approached burnout, I was able to position myself in a very Brunk-like position. And I always say that in that going into this, I always said at some point I want to go to the position where Brunk was when I came in. Brunk was running Deaf, but he wasn't really handling day to day. He was there for the big picture stuff, and that's kind of what it's become. Now I don't want that to be standard. I want to ebb and flow, but since Douglas has been gone, that's been good for me. Life's gotten crazier, work's got crazier, music, etc. And then again, the itch will come back. I don't know if it'll be Douglas, but I'll get more heavily involved at some point, and then just keep the thing going. Like I believe in Death. I just want to keep it going. That's my core goal. And as long as someone like Roland and Seth and Ford are in there, like keeping shit moving, I'm cool to stand back. Other than to wait, just to weigh in on bigger decisions.
Yeah, and over time, you hope the staff evolves. You hope people come in, people come out.
Exactly.
You hope that it stays fresh and the Fed stays fresh with it. So it's vital. It's important. You can't just have the same staff for years and years and years. People are going to get burnt out. You need breaks. So hopefully there's people in Defiance, and with the way that the roster is now, there's got to be that are going to be ready to step up when that time is right.
Oh, 100%. And honestly, it's a matter of, because people have reached out, but it's a matter of just, when somebody's ready, when someone is starts to vocalize that they might be at the end, of that participation. Like I'd rather someone leave staff than burn out as a handler. Too,
All right, Brian, you get 5 people, dead or alive, to invite to dinner. Who are they and what are you making?
Fuck. I mean, it's 5 people.
Dead or alive?
Well, most of them I'd pick dead, so they're going to be hungry. They ain't eaten in a while. So I've never done it, but I'll probably do like a whole hog. Because one of my favorite meals. But, whole hog barbecue. I don't know. Fuck. I don't know, man. Some people like who are dead, like they're probably obnoxious. Like Tupac, Big Pun. Like I love Big Pun, but they're probably both super obnoxious. You know what? My
New T-shirt, A-Fed Tees, big pun, super nice.
greatest to ever do it. Did I ever laugh? Man, I don't know, man. Like, my aunt passed. Not to make shit too serious. My aunt passed a couple years ago.
It'd be cool to have her back for a dinner.
Yeah, man. She kind of raised me for a few years when my brother was real sick after he was born. So yeah, a little more time with her.
That'd be awesome, right? Yeah, just getting somebody back like that.
Oh yeah, and my mom, because after I just went through the whole funeral gimmick with her mom, so it kind of keeps it fresh. Like you never know how much time you got.
Yep.
My dad, who's in perfect good health, but I just don't. I don't find enough time to do shit with him. Man, honestly, it's like my most recent, my dad's dad, who's gone. My dad's parents, both of them. They're both gone in the past 5 years. Fuck it, just like all my most 5 recent dead relatives, most 4 recent dead relatives, and my mother.
And I'll pretend I was number 6, Brian. So that's good to know. No, that's a good answer. And I think different direction than people would ever expect that question to go, because everyone expects to go to celebrities. Say something nice about each member of the Def staff. I think you did that.
Yeah. They're all great.
With Seth's question. Yep.
Yeah, they're all great.
Say something nice about Joe that hasn't been related to him being fired.
I did that one too. No, Joe's been Joe was a complete unknown to me when he joined.
Yeah. Same.
He's been as a handler, he's great. He's fantastic. The firing gimmick is just a bit. But Joe, you're fired.
No, Brian, I don't know how much you're aware of, but Joe actually came back to e-wrestling because of the eFed podcast.
I remember that now that you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked
pretty cool story. So we appreciate that.
We've talked about either on the air or off, but yeah, 100%.
Thanks, Linz, for the questions.
Yes, thank you.
Up next is not active enough for the top 100. It's Pete.
Oh, buy his book.
He's got 4 questions. We're going to run through them with haste.
Oh, post haste.
That's what I meant. Laziest name transition. The Eliminator to Eli Flair or K9 to Kevin 9?
Oh, fucking Kevin 9. Jesus Christ.
Even Pete knows that. That's beautiful.
How did he spell it? How did he spell 9?
N-I-N-E.
All right, there was a brief period before that. It was N-Y-N-E.
You got to. It's 2000s.
Yep.
Just like you got to throw a Z on there. Kevin 9's.
That's why I became Kevin
question.
Watson.
Good question, Pete. Pete with the history lesson there.
100%.
Number 2, why is e-fedding?
Why is?
Yes.
Board marks with a keyboard.
Question 3, who's your favorite non-wrestler character in any Fed you've been in?
Oh, shit.
Manager, interviewer, commentator, don't matter.
I feel like he just really wants me to say Ivy.
But is that the case? Is the question. Is it Angus? Is it?
Yeah. You know what? Boom. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it is Ivy because the Ivy Report, Ivy League, whatever it was. But yeah, no, yeah, fucking Angus.
Angus.
Like, I loved writing commentary for Angus.
Hated writing.
It literally got to the point, even before staff, where people came to me to ask how to write Angus.
Can you write this? Yeah.
And literally, you know what? Fucking me and you watching 1997 Raw. I just wrote him like King. I wrote him as King, and
it's like King and Bobby Heenan, right? Like as heels.
Yeah, a little bit of both, but like a lot of King because what we were watching, and then DDK as Ross, Tenay, anyone but Shivani.
Michael Cole. He was Michael Cole to me. White meat. Yep. All right. Finally, from Pete, if you have one seat left in the life raft and had to choose to give it to Brock or Ron Hall, why would you use that seat as a footrest or as a place to keep your editing equipment? Which one? Pete. Good question.
If I was in a life raft with my editing equipment, which is
and you have to choose between that and Ron Hall and Brock.
Yeah. So if I had my editing equipment, which is basically a bunch of blunt objects, I'm assuming there's a food source in this thing. So I would just bludgeon both of them and throw them over the side.
I think they are the food source.
No,
it's a runaway craft.
I'd rather die. I mean, Paul pointed out earlier, I'm 100 pounds heavier than 20 years ago. I can miss a few meals. I don't know. Here's the real question: does Ron Hall have sweet tea and/or water, as promised?
And are they 3 years old? Okay.
If it's water, I'm
next
good.
Next is Tom Ford.
Tommy.
First question: am I too late for the for the questions?
No.
Second question: why aren't you like all the other Fed heads who give themselves the title? We literally all wanted you to have it, including Mikey. Also, fuck Mikey Unlikely. I don't care that it's confusing because he's both the character and the online persona. Fuck the character. Smiley face.
I didn't want to be like every other Fed head. A, because that's corny. B, because the fact that everyone wanted me to have it was enough.
You had the respect of your peers.
Giving it to myself would have diminished that in my mind.
And I got to keep it longer, so win-win-win. In this situation,
we all win.
No, I agree. I also willingly tried to give it up to you, and it was denied.
Oh, shout out to Roland. Hi, Roland. Roland fought for that shit for like it was an 8-month campaign. Put it this way, Creepy Justin bothered me in a shorter amount of time to get me to come to Defiance. Then Roland bothered me to take the title. I just couldn't do it, man, because I've been there. I mean, his angle is different, but it's still, like, I don't know. It would feel cheap no matter how I did it. And everyone wanting me to have it felt.
And Tom, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that you say fuck Mikey. I like the character. He is a dickhead, and that's what I was going for. Thank you, sir.
Hey.
Question 3. If you could handle a tag team with another handler, who would it be, and what stupid name would you come up with?
I mean, if my track record has anything to say about it, Best will be in the name.
So you should team up with Mike Best, right?
So anyway, no, I mean, yeah, it'd be fun to write with Mikey. It would be fun to drag Barry back into the fold and do something with him.
There you go.
You know what? Actually, something that I wish would have happened. So I had Seattle's Best with Douglas and Carey, and I was handling them both. When Strassman came back in, that was already kind of done just because of the way the storylines were going. It'd have been fun to actually handle the Seattle super team, with him actually at the helm of Carey.
It's cool if you could bring back people, like you said there in between. Like, it'd be awesome if you could just like dream pick your favorite tag team partner, someone from the past you really looked up to. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
What do we got? Who else?
Rick's like, hey, you're handling a tag team now. But Rick, am I?
But this is if you could, not if you are.
Yeah.
If you could provide one piece of advice to deaf members, how do they become the Fist and beat everybody like Bob Holly?
Oh. I mean, but Bob Holly didn't beat everybody. He just wanted to, right?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Because I did it for...
you can tell them based on experience. All right, well, first you start you go to South Carolina, you have some beer, you start a podcast.
No. I would say you care about the Fed. You feedback other handlers. You feedback other shows. You feedback match writers. You show appreciation, and you are active in all things. In chat, you're active in everything. And then once you get the fist, you can fuck off and do whatever you want. But
yeah,
you got to do that to get there. You got to work hard. You got to be consistent, and you got to feedback, and you'll get there. I guarantee you'll get there.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's how I got. That's how before I was staff. That's how I got the solar, and I've kept that up. And don't get me wrong, Mikey's commented, once you get it, fuck off, don't worry about it. I've cut a lot of flack for that. But I mean, that's what everybody does. You know. But I mean, honestly, it's not just the feedback. It's just being active. Being. I mean, it's not a favoritism thing, but being like likable, like just being, you know, being a not Joe.
Just don't be Joe or Real, and you'll be fine.
hey, Real had the Soher.
Yeah, that's about it.
Anyway, I dropped it. I dropped it to him. Did I?
Thanks, Tom. Finally, from Brock, as a follow-up, what's your opinion on Pile O' Bodies?
Shout out to Durag Dwayne.
Dwayne.
That's all I gotta say about that. Tony.
The very first guest of the EFED podcast ever.
Pile O' Bodies.
All right, Brian. That's going to wrap us up for the EFED podcast interview. Thank you very much for joining us for this great and wonderful experience.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope you join us for the outro here in about 3 seconds.
Do I have to?
All right, Brian, we're back for the outro, and so excited you could join us. Of course, we just got done with our interview with Brian. What did you think overall?
Oh, man, probably the best guest we ever had. I mean, the ratings through the fucking roof. I mean, why wouldn't they be?
Through the roof. We're the first live episode, and we have the highest live episode ratings ever, so that is true.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's probably the highest amount of views you'll ever get outside of the first episode.
We'll see what happens. Catch us next week here on the EFED podcast. We're going to try to bring it to you live each and every week here on Twitch. Meanwhile, the next actual EFED podcast episode is 2 weeks away. But in the meantime, catch us next week on Twitch when we interview Linz and Brock, hopefully, of Prime Wrestling. And we're going to talk to them about their Fed, what's going on over there in that roleplay Fed, and give you some info in case you want to join and check it out. I can tell you they got some great poser action going on over there if you're into that kind of thing. Meanwhile, Brian, I appreciate you taking the time. This was a long-ass interview. You're going to have so much fun editing this. And meanwhile, I had a blast interviewing you. I'm hammered. Thank you, everyone who listened in on Twitch. You are awesome. We appreciate you so very, very much. Thank you for everyone on Patreon. Thank you for everyone who listens to this episode here, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever it is. For Brian, I'm Mikey. This has been the EFED podcast, where the wrestling is written, but the characters are real.
You've been listening to the EFED podcast, only on the Atomic Jobcast Network, presented commercial-free on Patreon.com.
Oh, yeah. Panera.
Brian, if you're listening to this, you're the best. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. No matter what Mikey says, you're the best. The whole show works because of you.
I quit all feds or something like.
I like EFED podcast. Two idiots.